30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, like it or not, this NBA in-season tournament is really cooking here, and LeBron James has a chance to add to his legacy. Yes, I said it. We don't want to, we're reluctant to, think this in-season tournament is anything but some kind of marketing strategy or something by the NBA. But here's the bottom line. The players care.
Yeah.
The players care. LeBron cares. And is it going to be like the top of his Hall of Fame induction speech? Of course not. Is it going to be another thing if they win this inaugural in-season tournament? It will be another thing.
If I could just advise LeBron, and when he talks about his legacy moving forward, or anybody who's a huge fan of LeBron, do not put this in his legacy. Keep it as far as possible from his legacy, because it reads, I can't win an NBA title, so I got to win this in-season tournament thing.
He's won 4 NBA titles.
But
of course he can win NBA titles.
But I can't win anymore, so I have to make this thing into a big thing because I'm kind of washed. Actually, he's not. He looks amazing.
Yeah, washed. He's still one of the best players in the league.
It almost feels like you're conceding that you're not going to win the NBA title this year, so let's put all our eggs into this in-season tournament basket.
What, all the eggs? I don't understand where this is coming from. He's competing in it just like everyone else, and they're doing it in a way that they've gotten to the semifinals now. They just beat. You don't think the Suns wanted to win that game last night?
Well, I don't even know. Listen, the only goal for an NBA player is to win the NBA title, right? That's the way it should be. And why are they playing LeBron 40 minutes in this meaningless game?
Because I think that they're taking this seriously. And
right, which is a long-term mistake because they need LeBron in June.
Okay, they definitely do, but that's the fans' perspective, right? The fans' perspective is they're making a mistake or that this is somehow like not as meaningful. Of course it's not as meaningful as the Larry O'Brien trophy. This is new. It's the first time. But don't we have to wake up and see that the players are taking it seriously? They care.
Yeah, they're taking it seriously, but honestly, I think what you said is important. Fans don't care because they know that in the NBA, all that matters is winning the NBA championship. So if nobody's saying, "Oh, Jokic is losing it because Denver's not in this thing," they expect Jokic to be back in June. That's by far the more important thing.
It definitely is.
In fact, you don't even compare the two.
It definitely is, but I just hate how this is being denigrated. Like you're lame if you think that this in-season tournament is cool, like the players. Like LeBron is lame somehow if he's trying to win this thing because it's not the NBA title. Well, it's the thing in front of you. There's something to be won right now. There's a prize sitting there that's going to be won on Saturday night, or Thursday is the semifinals, and then Saturday is the final. To not try to win that thing that's right here, that's the loser energy. The loser energy isn't winning it and feeling good about yourself for winning something. The loser energy is not winning it. And I don't understand why. This is crazy to me.
But every day, every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Monday, whatever, they have a game sitting there. So there's a game against the Thunder right in front of you. Do you care if LeBron wins that game? Of course not. Okay. It's completely irrelevant. It's a regular season.
Well, that's where I think you got to give credit to the NBA. I know it's hard for us to give credit to sports leagues, but it has made these early games relevant to the players. The fans, listen, hasn't won everybody over. I know EJ's a big fan, but it hasn't won over the hearts and minds, if you will, of the sports fans. Like a Thursday night Steelers-Patriots game, as awful as that is, I'm sure we'll probably do better than this in-season.
Do better. It'll blow it out of the water.
But here's the thing. I think that we have to wake up and smell this, that the players actually give a crap. And that should matter because ultimately legacies, Perloff, are about what the fans think of a player, but also what players think about players.
You realize what you're saying is the players don't give a crap about normal regular season games.
That's a problem.
Yeah. You think?
Okay, so they're doing something to change it.
This highlights this actually is not making the problem better. It's just accentuating how bad the problem is. And the fact that the media keeps telling us that how important this is speaks to me, this must not be important because otherwise it would just catch on organically. Well, obviously, the fact that everyone's forcing it down my throat means, this is a totally flawed product.
Honestly, though, it's hard to just say the media.
Whatever.
There are so many people.
You and EJ. I'll go with you and EJ. I'll go with Maggie Gray and EJ Stewart telling me this is so important to me. Oh, okay. So this is totally irrelevant and everyone's trying to sell it to me.
I was literally listening to Tony Kornheiser yesterday say, I still have no idea what the rules are, what the format is. Like, not everybody is selling this, Not everybody is trying to put the NBA over on this in-season tournament. But that to me doesn't matter. This isn't a media story. This is a player's story. And the players care. And LeBron cares and wants to win this. At least that's what he's saying. And we're going to play some sound for you in a minute. And it's like, wow, what a loser. He cares about this. I'm telling you guys, and I hate to do it, but I'm going to do it. If it was Michael Jordan in here and he was maniacally trying to win the inaugural in-season tournament, everyone would be like, what a badass. That's MJ. No one can beat him in a game of tiddlywinks, and also this in-season tournament, and it would add another level to his lore and the mythology. Whereas LeBron's a loser if he wants to win this. It makes no sense.
I think you're mistaking apathy for actually denigrating LeBron. I think most people don't really care and realize that LeBron is actually, it's almost an insult to LeBron to add this to his legacy. It's almost an insult to LeBron to saying this is the best that he can achieve this season because LeBron's playing so well. Hey, maybe this is a Lakers championship team. That's interesting to me. This in-season tournament means nothing to me.
Okay, but Perloff, we have months to do, are the Lakers a championship team? We will do that conversation. Right. They went to the Western Conference Finals last year. It's not like they're sitting there at the top of the lottery.
So they can win this tournament, and it's not going to register at all with me. I do not care. I'm being serious. I really don't care. I'm not watching Saturday night. There's no way I'm watching. What time is the game? 8:30 on Saturday night. Say it's the Lakers Bucks.
Lakers Bucks. LeBron Giannis.
It's a regular
season. Something.
No, on a Saturday night watching a regular. If there was, I don't know what's left. Army Navy's on Saturday. I'll watch college football. I'll watch.
At noon.
Is there an NFL game this Saturday? When does that start? Whenever that starts, I'm all in on that. There's no. I'm sorry. Okay, but I do feel like I'm getting sold to. I really do feel that. If it's so great, then why can't I just enjoy it at my own pace?
Well, that's also your choice to consume this being sold to you, right? It's like if you can go watch your 50th episode of Naked and Afraid or Naked Alaska or whatever these shows.
Alone. It's called Alone.
Naked, Alone, Afraid in Alaska, and you can go choose to do that. Like, you can't blame them for trying to market what they're doing because it's the first time they're doing it, and you got to create a little bit of the buzz. Why do you think the courts look so stupid? Like, I might not like it, but I also can't say it's not working because the players seem to care.
Well, who cares what the players care about? You're saying they don't care about the regular season, so you're saying they don't care about the other games?
No.
Isn't that a bigger indictment out of the story? You're saying, okay, we're in the early December, and all of a sudden the players care, and this is noteworthy.
Oh my gosh.
That's a problem.
Perloff, they had to change the load management rules. Like, they are acknowledging, the NBA is acknowledging, we got a problem here, that a lot of our games don't matter. College basketball has a similar thing. Hockey is a similar thing. Like, everyone's going through it who has these long seasons. Baseball, this war got lost a long time ago with baseball. You can check out for a whole month and then come back and still be in it with your team. But, like...
Then why are we paying attention to the regular season at all? Because of this?
They put a carrot out here. And, like, let's listen to LeBron. Okay, so let's play cut 9. This is why the in-season tournament matters to him.
I mean, you got some of the most alpha male competitors in the world. And if you give us an opportunity to play for something meaningful, with an incentive, then you'll get what you're getting. And I know the competitive nature in myself. I know the competitive nature in this guy next to me and our DNA that we're trying to build for this team.
Yeah. That's enough.
Well, I think he saved himself with built for this team because if you follow that logic out, that means after Saturday, which will be like December 10th, we can actually go on a nap until April 22nd.
You're on a nap anyway.
So he just basically said a regular season game, there's no incentive there. which is a huge problem for the NBA. And it's funny, this in-season tournament actually accentuates why an NBA regular season is so meaningless.
Right, but at least they're not just sitting back and sitting by and being like, you know what, it's meaningless, so we're just going to sit here and everyone just pay attention to football and we're not even going to bother you until after Christmas or whatever. And instead they're trying to do something about it. Like, why does that make them... Why does that make it lame? Like, why does that make LeBron...
Because it waters down the rest of the regular season, which you thought could not be watered down anymore. And now they found a way to actually water it down even more, which is actually impressive by Adam Silver. I would have thought there was nothing more meaningless than the NBA regular season. And they found a way to prove to me, yes, this regular season is even less meaningful than last regular season.
Let's hear more from LeBron talking about the in-season tournament. It's a great stage for players.
The in-season tournament is what it is. And we have an opportunity to, play on a big stage, be on national television, be able to represent our families and represent our cities and communities where we come from.
All right, well, I don't know how much the James family is feeling a lot of pride off of this, but listen, whatever. It's something that matters. It's cool. And again, if Michael Jordan was out here and he was like stunting on people trying to win the in-season tournament, now all of a sudden it'd be awesome. Now all of a sudden it would mean something. But because LeBron is a little bit corny and he's been around for so long, by the way, still playing at a super high level, now it can't be cool because if it's not a championship and it's LeBron, it might as well not matter.
So you're saying, you're probably right. I think if this was around for the in-season tournament when Michael Jordan was playing, they'd be like the big shot at North Carolina when he hit that shot over Brian Russell and when he beat the Pacers in the regular in-season tournament.
It might be Giannis in the in-season tournament.
Who cares? And if the Nuggets go on to win again this season, no one's going to say, oh, this is the year the Lakers won the in-season tournament. It should be about the ring. And the fact that they're even watering that down is amazing to me. The NBA is trying to do this admirable thing, but they're actually, in a way, making us all realize, oh my gosh, we have 5 months of complete irrelevance.
Well, we knew that already. And
at least you could pretend there was something going on in the regular season.
That's a great thing for a business to do. Just put your head in the sand and pretend all your problems are going to go away. It's not going to happen. And I love this. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You are welcome to weigh in on this and whether you think that does it add to LeBron's legacy? Is it the same as a championship? I'm not arguing that. Of course it's not.
Okay, I'll ask you point blank. It sounds like you support this in-season tournament. Are you going to watch, if you can only watch one, I know you obviously can watch two. You have two screens.
Yeah.
If you can only watch one, the NBA in-season tournament semifinals on Thursday night or the Patriots-Steelers, one of the worst matchups in NFL history. No, it's not.
It's close.
Okay. Which are you watching?
I might, if it's Giannis versus LeBron, we're talking about, so those are 2 different days. Thursday's the semifinals.
Right. Actually, LeBron versus Zion is pretty awesome.
LeBron versus Zion, Pelicans. I know you can't turn off a Pelicans game.
I'll watch any regular season Pelicans game. But I got to tell you, I think the Patriots-Steelers game is more compelling because it's actually, since the Steelers don't have a quarterback and the Patriots don't have a quarterback and the Steelers are in the playoff picture and they're one of these legacy franchises, there's weirdly an urgency to that because that's the NFL. Everything is important. Where the NBA, they have to concoct something to make it important.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. What will I watch on Thursday? Tough, because I feel like I know what's going to happen. Even with Mitchell Trubisky, I think that the Steelers are going to kick the Patriots' ass because I think the Patriots are trying to. I think they're. Writing's on the wall here. Not that Belichick's trying to tank, but like they're terrible. Vibes are off. Like everything's bad. Whereas the Steelers are really trying to win.
Every single Patriots game is 10-7. It's not going to be an ass kicking. It's going to be 9-3. It's 9-3. There's no. And this, you think the Steelers are going to go?
This isn't about the Steelers right now. We're not talking about that crappy game.
See what I did to you?
I know. You got me talking about football, and I took that bait. EJ,
I would never watch that Steelers Patriots game. Give me a break.
So this is hard because it's our job. Our job is to keep tabs on the NFL. It's the biggest thing that we have. So we're speaking as fans.
We're speaking as fans.
If I was just a fan, I would watch the basketball. I'm not going to watch this crappy football game. As a person who has to do the show every day, I have to watch the football.
I really do think that when we talk about what people watch and what they don't watch, first of all, yes, people love the NFL. People love the NFL more than the NBA. But I think that we need to also talk about the gambling aspect and then why that also inflates the NFL's numbers. The NBA is not the gambling sport the NFL is. So when we say, how come Jaguars, Bengals with backup quarterbacks is getting these great ratings? How come the Steelers and Patriots somehow get these great ratings over the NBA? A lot of it is gambling.
I think so. Because everyone had Bengals plus 8.5 or whatever.
Because I mean, there are a lot of people who also aren't going to watch or pay attention to those games because you're saying they matter, Perloff. This Steelers Patriots game does not matter.
I totally disagree with you. I do think gambling and fantasy football as well adds to it. But the fact that it's such a short season, that game meant so much to the playoff standings. I think it's the length of season more than the gambling aspect. Like it was a huge game that had a major impact.
Right, no, but are you talking about the Jaguars? I'm talking
the Jaguars
about
and the Bengals. The Bengals are back. I'm talking about that crappy backup quarterbacks.
Right.
Even this game has big implications because Trubisky's terrible. So because of the length of the season is really the main thing. Every game means so much in the NFL. This game means a ton. The Steelers are, the 5 seed right now?
But
that's the Steelers going to win anything.
But see, to me, though, like we already know this, right? We know that the NFL is 17 games now. We know that basketball is 82. Yeah. There's nothing we can do to change that because if football players played 82 games, their brains would be mush. Like they shouldn't be playing 17. Let alone more. Those are facts that can't change. Yeah. So the fact that the NBA is trying to do something to zhuzh up and jazz up the regular season, and the players are into it, even when we clown around and say, oh, the basketball players like $500,000, they basically blow their nose with $500,000, right? It doesn't mean a lot to guys if you're making $36 million in a year or more. But the fact is they actually are caring about it. And money aside, it seems like more of a pride thing, and they're just competitive dudes. So why not at least try? And it appears that LeBron cares. And the other thing is, it's wild to me that, it almost seems like, of course, LeBron would win the first one.
Right.
The guy's almost 40. That part of it is crazy, too, because Giannis is going to be trying to win.
Well, also, LeBron, if you saw the end of last night's game, has the officials with him, too.
The foul call on a loose ball situation.
A fake timeout when the ball is falling out of bounds, whatever.
No one had possession of the ball. They were able to call a timeout. Frank Vogel lost it. Then I had to remember that Frank Vogel was the Suns coach. Why is Frank Vogel losing? It's all right, because he doesn't coach the team anymore.
I was the Pacers are in the other bracket. Why is Frank Vogel mad?
Yes, he's the Suns coach.
Somehow three Frank Vogel teams were involved.
I know. That's his legacy.
Yeah.
Okay. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We've gotten some great feedback in the chat, both chats. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, where I can't say this guy who changed his name in the chat to the 2 curse words that I dropped last week, because if I say it again, Pete's going to have to dump it again. So, good morning to you, unnamed sir.
Maybe call him DT.
DT. Okay. Today's $1 million idea: loser energy drink for when you just don't care. We were talking about loser energy. How about loser energy drink? It's so good. Also, he said, naked, alone, and afraid last Friday night for me.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Oh, wait, not the show. You mean he was actually naked and alone and afraid? Okay, I misunderstood.
To which our very own Andrew Kaplan replied, feels like that's every night for you. Burn.
Oh.
Listen, you come in the chat, you think you can drop something.
Chat beef here.
There may need to be a power ranking for meanest people on this show, because we keep talking about Bogish as being, power rank number 1, but Kaplan is sneaky.
Oof.
He's a sneaky one in there. I know, Maggie, we were texting in the group chat, you were saying you're pretty high on those rankings. I
mean, I'd like to enter my name into the list, but Kaplan will get you with a meme.
Oh, yeah.
He'll Photoshop you.
And that, in some way, that's more diabolical, really, because there's a level of creativity. I mean, you can use your words or text, okay, that's fine, but you can actually create art.
I know.
For your hate.
Everything's like something. A crying Jordan meme for him. It's just like that. It's that level of disrespect. It's amazing. 855-212-4CBS. Is LeBron lame for caring about the in-season tournament, or is this great? You're the best, I can't say best player in the league. You're the most distinguished player in the league. Cares about this and is trying to win it. 855-212-4CBS. Get it going with basketball. We do have a lot of football to get to today. Don't worry about that. So much to do. So glad to have you. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. You know, there are certain things that I know will get under Maggie's skin.
What's that?
Jordan LeBron stuff can immediately get you angry on a phone call.
I I can't say I get angry about it.
Yeah, I understand it's not fair, but
it's the Jordan
it will
people
raise your ire.
who are just so dismissive.
Yes,
it's the condescension that happens from the Jordan folks. Like, I'm willing. I know Jordan is great. I want to talk about how great he is. It's just the fact that LeBron is like basically outer space compared to Jordan. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Do you know when you're fighting? If you have kids, you're fighting your little kid, and you put your and they're swinging wildly at you, and you put your hand on their head and keep it. That's what the LeBron.
Yes, right.
Jordan people feel very dismissive. You're right.
Yeah, and like a lot of the arguments I feel like that the Jordan people use don't like hold up under a more intense look or scrutiny.
Yeah.
And like the only thing you have to say is like, well, he never lost in the finals. Like, well,
yeah,
that doesn't matter with Tom Brady.
Yeah,
nobody seems to care.
The man could fly, and he never missed the last second shot. There's no even need to make a case. So I got a similar energy in the break. Before the show, I said, the Eagles should really consider load managing for this Dallas Cowboys game on Sunday.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me.
Well, it makes perfect sense. Why do you load manage so you can play better in the playoffs? This is a game the Eagles are going to get trounced in anyway. Why are you wasting all your resources? Jalen Hurts has to get healthy. Dallas Goedert has to get healthy. Lane Johnson can never stay healthy. I don't know what's going on with the defense, but those guys need rest. They look washed.
Perloff, wait a minute.
So why are you going to waste all that and then you're going to lose in Dallas anyway? I'd rather just put out the backups, get killed, and then be strong and ready for the playoffs.
You know what? This is the epitome of loser energy drink. Is that what's in your cup this morning? Because why would you be load managing when you still have you still have 5 games to go? You load manage when you're playing the Arizona Cardinals and the New York Giants at the end of the season when it means nothing and you've already wrapped up the NFC East. You don't do it against Dallas in the biggest game of the year where you can still win and get home field advantage.
I just think
this makes no sense.
I think the Eagles have some real health-related issues. And I'm not alone. Do we have the NFL Network sound of David Carr, fine analyst, sort of taking it to the next level?
I think that when you look at this team, you have to have a serious conversation if you're Philly. And you have to really say, is it better for us to play Marcus Mariota right now and let Jalen get fully healthy? Ooh. Because I would argue that it does not matter if you're the number 1 seed. Because if the 49ers come into Philly again, they do not care. They do not care. If raining in Philly doesn't matter.
Okay, so what David Carr is giving you a backhanded compliment right there, right? Because he's basically saying you shouldn't try to win this game because you're losing anyway to the 49ers and nothing matters. Like, you don't think that.
But he's saying, no, we got to get healthy. He's saying that team has to get healthier. You could see they were hobbling around. Jalen Hurts had left the game with a concussion. Jalen Hurts is wearing a massive knee brace. I think he's still wearing the brace. There's injuries all over the team. They need rest to get healthy. That is very clear.
Okay, but why? Okay. You can rest or you can entertain this after this Dallas game.
But
this is part of your push here. Do you think that you could go to San Francisco in the playoffs and beat them?
Maybe, yes, because I think San Francisco has trouble staying healthy. But also, too, I am telling you right now, Maggie, as this game right now, a 80% Eagles are not going into Dallas and winning this game. So you're coming away with an L anyway. It's just the way the schedule falls.
Why even play? Honestly, like this is the college football playoff, example from earlier. Why even play the games? Like,
do you understand load management? The point of load management is to win in the playoffs. The point of load management is the regular season is just the regular season. So you got to make sure you are strong and ready for the playoffs.
But
here's the question.
I'm confused though. Like, we just had a conversation about how load management is bad for the NBA.
Yeah.
And yet here you're suggesting that your Eagles should load manage your way through the biggest game of the season.
It is bad for the NBA, but I'm a Sixers fan and I want Joel Embiid to play 45 games this year. I do not want to see him on the court. I am a strong advocate of you should load manage if you want to win in the playoffs. So I'm curious, like the NFL, are they going to look at that too? I think you guys overrate. The regular season doesn't mean that much. This is a postseason tournament.
This game is for first place in your division and potentially first place and home field advantage. Here's a question for you. If you say you sat Jalen Hurts and
he's not healthy.
Okay, well, he came back into the game after he had a concussion, so maybe the Eagles themselves should look themselves in the mirror and wonder, why did he get put back in a game that you were losing by 3 scores when he had no business being there? So clearly they don't give a crap about load management, or else he never would have come back in that game.
Shocked that they put him back in.
Stupid.
Shocked.
So dumb. Okay.
But
so that's your
ahead.
own fault. What happens if on the first snap of the game, Dak Prescott gets hurt?
put Jalen Hurts back in. But okay,
what are you doing? He's sitting on the sideline in a sweatshirt.
Can I be honest? So I would not say Jalen Hurts. But let me actually ask you guys this question. Dallas
You're giving me whiplash.
No. I think
you're
Carr
trolling me right now.
But wait, if Dallas Goedert is 70%, and he's a huge part, the tight end, a huge part of their offense, are you going to say, you know what? This is a huge game. I understand that this could affect your long-term health. I'm going to put you out there. I say, no way. You're in a really tough spot here. Wait till everyone gets healthy, even if you have to lose. Be cautious with Dallas Goedert. Be cautious with Lane Johnson. Do not use all your resources because you're probably going to lose this game anyway, and you do not want to come out of here with more injuries. You want to come out of here as healthy as possible.
Hold on. Here's your schedule the rest of the way. At Dallas, a.k.a. the most important game of the season. At Seattle.
Think at Seattle you want to be healthy for that game?
I'm not done. Giants, Arizona, Giants. Miss me with the load management. The last 3 games of your season, you're going to load manage by default because Manny and I could beat the New York Giants right now.
The Eagles always drop a game to the Giants. It's part of their DNA.
They kick their ass in the playoffs. They beat them by 1 million. It's Tommy DeVito out there. I mean, they're going to lose.
Regardless.
Tommy Cutlets.
The Eagles are in a really precarious spot here. I mean, you saw it against the Niners. They are banged up. They're exhausted. They need to get their ship in order. Honestly,
it's just called you're in the tough part of your schedule and you got to persevere.
The schedule's been insane. But the other thing, too, is, I mean, they're hurt. They got to get healthy. And the Niners and the Ravens, who are clearly the best 2 teams right now, yeah, they're the best 2 teams, but this is a battle of who's going to be less injured. So I'm not placing any super huge bets on either of those teams. Let's see who's healthy in the playoffs. This is just a regular season. Let's see who's healthy in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. So the Eagles, if they throw out everybody here and they get destroyed, the Cowboys are going to be amped up beyond belief. I do not want to come out of this game with injuries. I don't even care what.
Major loser.
And to me, if I was an Eagles fan, I wouldn't want to give the Cowboys any mental edge at all. This is a team that already has a lot of mental demons they're trying to deal with in terms of winning against the top teams, winning in the postseason. Why would you want to give them the edge of saying, you know what, we think you're going to kill us. We think we have no chance. Your guys are so great. You know what? It's so bad that we have to just get rested up and hope that by the playoffs we'll actually be healthy.
But what's the wrap on the Cowboys? That they can win in the regular season and not win in the playoffs. Nobody's going to care. Yeah, the Cowboys can brag all they want about winning a regular season game. It's meaningless. Show me in the playoffs.
You're surrendering to them. You're surrendering the fact
that I'm not surrendering. I'm just saying, like, this. Be cautious about health. Don't push Goddard out there with a broken arm. Don't.
Hold on, Perloff. You just said there's no way they're going to win this game anyway. You literally are surrendering. And also, this is an important game for the division. You can rest against the Giants and the Cardinals. You want to talk about load management, fine. But let's take your specific example you're talking about doesn't apply here.
Also, why would you want to play the Niners potentially earlier in this tournament?
We don't want to, but here's the most important thing is health. It's way more important than your seed.
Which is not guaranteed whether you play or whether you don't.
Yes,
and that's the reality.
I disagree with that. You are not going to get hurt on the sideline. That's just not happening. And by the way,
you could get hurt the next game.
I beg to differ. You can get hurt on the sideline. That poor guy, the poor sideline, the guy with the chain.
But you guys, it's like
surgery.
Like you guys don't understand load management at all. What it means, like load management means we're going to rest our stars so they're healthy for the playoffs. Because the Cowboys can win all the regular season games they want. They could go 17-0. It is so meaningless because give me a Mike McCarthy in the playoffs and I feel okay. But the Eagles can beat them there, and that's all that matters. It's the only thing that matters. Whether they win this game or not means nothing. It's about the playoffs.
We understand load management, but this game is implications on the playoffs.
This is not the game you load manage.
Like this game is just like, it's week 2 and who cares? Like this game could decide the division. So it does have implications because it determines who you're playing in the first round, who you're playing in the second round, whether you have a home field advantage in the first game. I swear, if they lose this game, Perloff, and then they go and they get upset by someone on the road, and you say, well, we were on the road, who would have thought that the Superdome would have went crazy for the New Orleans Saints? Or they have to go play San Francisco in a second round game, and you say, well, San Francisco was more healthy. Now next week they got a guy hurt, and if we played them in the conference championship, we would have won. Like it removes so much of the situation. Instead, if you just go out there and just play the game, beat these guys, and you win the division, you control your own destiny.
Here's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is not that at all. Losing and having to go to San Francisco, that's not great. I would prefer not to do that as an Eagles fan. The worst case scenario is that Jalen Hurts is, basically a quarterback, if they really need to win a game, is going to run a lot. But you make yourself very vulnerable to injury. If he is really selling out to win this game and gets hurt, and then we're going Marcus Mariota the rest of the season like last year, that'd be terrible. And if Dallas Goedert gets out there and gets hurt, that's a disaster.
Wait, like last year, you went to the Super Bowl. What do you mean? He missed games, but you were so far ahead, and you had this lead that you could afford to lose some of those games at the end of the season when he went out. Like you're.
Well, it's gonna annoy you even more. I think the Eagles are gonna lose this game. I mean, they're underdogs. It's not a hot take.
Okay.
But I still don't think the number 1 seed is out of touch at all because they'll be 10-3. I think that's the last loss on their schedule. So they're probably going to go into this playoffs at 14-3. I think that's going to be good enough to get the number 1 seed because I think Dallas drops a game and I think San Francisco loses to Baltimore. But so therefore they get the number 1 seed anyway. So I'm just saying I'm not conceding the number 1 seed. I'm just saying this is a tough game anyway. So don't blow out all your resources. Don't say Jalen Hurts give 100%, and it's not the playoffs. But be smart about health. Be smart.
What you're saying though is not load management because you're saying we can afford to lose this game, but you know what? We'll play hard for these games against these terrible teams. Guess what? That means Jalen Hurts has to go out there and take bullets against the Cardinals, against the Giants. And look, they're NFL players. Yeah, all it takes is one hit. No, all it takes is one hit to the knee. All it takes is one hit to the head, and all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts is going to a playoff game, and he's not 100%. So it's not load management. You're saying you're going to surrender this game, particularly to get more healthy for down the stretch. Well, that's totally different.
But here's the thing. Jalen Hurts, if you rest him, he'd get his knee stronger and more healthy. He's less vulnerable to injury. That's a theory there. And I know
they're not. You don't think Marcus Mariota could beat the Giants?
He probably could, but honestly, the injury is now. First of all, they're playing Jalen Hurts. This isn't even a discussion. There's no way that's happening. But you got to rest him now. You got to get him healthy. He's got to. Yes, you can sit him against the Giants, but this is not a great spot to be running around at 80% against Micah Parsons in that crew.
Listen, I'm listening to Trevor Lawrence might be back after a week with a high ankle sprain. We got 5 weeks to go. If something happens catastrophic, it's catastrophic. If something happens where he gets dinged up in this game, you have weeks to get healthy. Weeks. Manny Rodriguez is doing updates for us today. Good morning, Manny.
Good morning, you guys. How are you guys?
Manny, I didn't even know you did updates. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, I do it sometimes on the weekends. How about that?
And can you share with the audience what hat you're wearing?
I am wearing a throwback maroon Phillies hat.
Yeah, so you're a Phillies fan.
Incorrect.
Oh.
Incorrect.
Yeah.
That couldn't be further from
This is kids these days. Manny is a Yankee Giants fan, but now is representing
Knicks fan as well.
Knicks, and now representing Philadelphia.
Yeah, I thought you might relate to that because I actually know how to win in the postseason where Maggie and EJ's team have no idea how to win in the postseason.
How many championships does the city of Philadelphia have over the past decade or so?
They have one, 2017. How many does New York have?
I mean, wow, one less.
Yeah.
One less.
Well, you want to go back a little bit further than a decade, you can get the Giants in there.
There you go.
But
headlines, by the way, are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance, insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. The very prestigious in-season tournament has its Final Four. Last night, the Bucks and the Lakers secured their ticket to Vegas. But there was controversy in L.A. where the aforementioned Lakers hosted the Suns. Kevin Durant made a layup with 11.2 seconds left on the clock to make it a 2-point deficit. Ensuing inbound, Austin Reeves loses the ball, but the referee said that LeBron James called a timeout behind the brouhaha for the loose ball. This causes the Suns to go up in arms, and I think with good reason, but who cares what I say. Lakers, they keep possession. Suns are forced to foul. They foul Anthony Davis. He makes one free throw.
Okay.
Misses the other. 3-point deficit. Durant for the tie from about a mile away. Came up all air. The Lakers,
Wait,
they
Manny,
beat the Suns.
Don't we have a highlight of this?
Yeah, here it comes. Hold
great.
on. Well, I got some audio clip about, we don't have the audio clip of that actual play, but I will tell you that the Lakers beat the Suns 106-103. Here's Devin Booker on that Lakers timeout.
You know what happened, Dwayne. I know what you're trying to do. The whole world's seeing it. I just got off social media and other players around the league seeing it. So it is what it is. You know, refs miss calls sometimes, but, you know, when they're a bit that obvious, you know, it's tough.
Yeah, he's not a fan. He's not a fan.
Maybe they shouldn't have turned the ball over 22 times last night.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem.
They also asked the crew chief, Josh Tiven, in the pool report, the always famous pool report.
Yeah.
They asked him, why were the Lakers awarded a timeout when it appeared that they did not have possession of the ball? The reply was, during live play, the official felt that LA still had possession of the ball when LeBron James requested the timeout. Through post-game video review and slow motion replay, we did see that Austin Reeves had his left hand on the ball while it's pinned against his left leg, which does constitute control.
Wait, Manny, this was like a really exciting thing that happened last night. How did you manage to make this the most boring thing on earth? Why are we reading the pool report?
Because, I mean, there's always this conversation about referees. I think the laziest take in sports when referees, all of a sudden because the Suns, they got screwed over by the referees. That's why the Suns lost the game. That's never the case. What'd you just say? 22 turnovers?
Yeah.
That's a reason why they lost the game.
Also, though, I hate these pool reports because the referees very rarely give you anything. It was like during the Chris Paul, Scott Foster beef. There was basically no explanation as to why Chris Paul and Scott Foster got into it, other than he said too much and I gave him a technical foul. Wow. Why? Because he kept going. It's like, okay, well, clearly there's more to this. Here in this pool report, there's evidence suggesting that they're wrong. They're like, no, your eyes don't deceive you. We know that they do deceive you. We're right, and that Austin Reeves actually had the ball and they didn't call a timeout. Like the fact that NBA does these pool reports, the last 2-minute reports, I just want them to be honest. Like, don't gaslight me. And here, this is more gaslighting from the referees.
Hey, so why did I'm sorry if I missed this. Why didn't they replay it? Why didn't they go to the TV monitor?
I don't think they can because
is that a rule?
I think it's the replay. Listen, I think you could probably replay whatever you want, but it's for fouls out of bounds are challengeable.
Because Vogel said that they should have gone to the replay, and I don't know. I don't understand.
He can't challenge that though because it's not a foul and it's not out of bounds. It's not possession.
Right, but it
was possession, but it wasn't out of bounds.
So in the last couple of minutes, it's not
There's
not
no
like
sky
the
judge.
NFL. You still have to use your challenge to get. I feel like they replay stuff all the time without a challenge.
I think that's why Vogel was ticked off.
It's not really a call. It's just someone call. It's not a referee decision. It's not a foul. It's not an out of bounds. It's not a stoppage. It's a stoppage in play, but it's the referee's judgment really there, so you can't really review that.
Wait, but you don't need to challenge to review in the NBA. The NBA officials can review it on their own right.
They can get together.
Certain things, in the last 2 minutes, out of bounds. But like if it's a foul, for example, you'd have to challenge that if you had a challenge.
You guys spoke about the players enjoying the in-season tournament in that first segment. Here is Kevin Durant on the in-season tournament.
I wasn't a huge fan of the in-season tournament when they were announcing it and coming up with the idea, but today, leading up to the game, it felt like a playoff game. From just friends, family, fans, just so excited about it. Just the courts was different, just the vibe around. Like last night was a great night for the game with those two incredible games that were on, so it felt like a playoff game coming into it and like waking up this morning. So I wasn't a huge fan, but now I'm excited about the in-season tournament. I'm pissed that we're not going to Vegas to try to win this thing, but it definitely made me a fan.
You can add Kevin Durant to the list of players who like the IST.
They called me a madman.
Ruffle any more cases around in that
it's like, is there anvils dropping all around his head?
Fireworks.
Get out of there, Kevin. Get out. It looks like the place is about to burn to the ground. Okay. We got another one, Kevin Durant, in what might be the world's longest soundbite that has ever been played on the history of this show. Kudos, Manny. All right, what else we got, Manny? We got time for one more little one.
Well, the Lakers, they beat the Suns 106-103. The Bucks, they beat the Knicks 146-122. How about this? I'm sure Andrew Bogusch is very upset about this because Greg Weissert, Fordham legend, just like Mr. Bogusch himself, has been traded to the Boston Red Sox along with Richard Fitz and Nicholas Judice in exchange for Alex Verdugo.
Saw that.
So how about that? The Yankees and the Red Sox making a trade for the first time.
It's rare.
Or for the, 6 times in past 50 years? I'll get that stat for you. Next one. On the ice, one of the best teams.
Best update man in the business.
On the ice, one of the best teams in the NHL fell last night. The Rangers were toppled by the Ottawa Senators 6-2. And our San Jose Sharks 5-4 winners last night over the Islanders on Long Island.
Question, Manny, where did the San Jose Shark call home?
We spoke about this. That would be I'm blanking.
Oh no.
This is Manny's superpower that he can name every arena, like the actual what's the name of it?
Oh, the pressure of doing the updates has knocked him off his game. It's like the in-season tournament for Manny. All this pressure.
It's a different side of his brain that's actually.
You had it last week. I asked you this.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago when I was on. Yeah, you got SAP Center.
SAP. He got it at the buzzer.
Last second save.
Manny, fantastic job. Thank you so much. A lot more to do, including A big update on one of the stories from yesterday, the fact that Trevor Lawrence might be getting back on the field. Wild. We'll get to that. We've got a lot of Aaron Rodgers sound for you today as well because he was on one yesterday on the Pat McAfee Show. Do not move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Do we have a poll question out here? In-season tournament? Okay, we're working on that. I think it's weird that people clown LeBron James because he's trying to win this thing, taking it seriously because it's the in-season tournament and it's not the NBA title. Of course it's not. But why is it a bad thing to care? Just because it's new and it's different, we're not all on board with it yet. He should still be trying to win it, shouldn't he?
Yeah, but it's just so much fun to clown LeBron James on little things like this. Just like, dude, stick to NFL analysis right now. You're 39 years old. Stop kicking butt on the basketball court.
Has he still been giving out his NFL picks?
Actually, I don't know. He's been a little distracted by this in-season tournament.
We don't get to see that LeBron, what he likes the Cleveland Browns against the spread. James, our pal in Modesto, California, our big Raider fan. Hey, James, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
Oh, good. It's hump day, Just out here, just pounding the pavement.
Fantastic. You're going to go to Vegas for the in-season tournament? I know you like to go to watch your Raiders.
Yeah, it's a little far for me. I'm going to watch it, though, for sure. I'm a big sports guy, so I played all my life. I coach, and, so I'm into the sport thing. I see both sides of it. I think it's exciting. I think it's something extra for the guys to, play for. It's nothing like, it's like kind of like in the hockey, winning the President's Cup,
Yeah, right.
It's great to do it, but, it's nothing like the Stanley Cup, it gives I see both sides. I think it's great. It gives the guys added stuff. I think it adds a little flavor to it. I'm definitely going to watch it. Like I say, it's a little bit far for me to go.
Yeah.
It's nothing like a Raider game,
Few things are, James. Few things are like a Raider game. Appreciate you checking in. You got the Raiders. Interesting one coming up against the Vikings, and appreciate James checking in there. Because this, to me, for the Raiders is all about, can Antonio Pierce actually win this job, right?
What?
And the Vikings are a good spot for them. They're a 3-point favorite in this game, I believe.
I think we overestimate interim coaches' abilities to win job. Like, we could get into this, but don't you feel like come January or whatever, when they're disqualified, that they'll just find someone new? That's a large majority of these situations end up in a new coach. I don't think AP is going to win that.
But I wonder if it changes anything because Antonio Pierce is a former player of distinction. Right? Like Rich Bisaccia, for the good job that he did. Not many people were familiar with him as special teams coach until he got that job. And now he's Bisaccia, and now we know who he is. Antonio Pierce is a really high profile.
Really high profile?
As a Super Bowl champion?
I don't know. I'm not sure he's that profile. How many Pro Bowls did he make?
He's got to make a few, but...
He also worked on ESPN. I think a lot of people know him from that as well.
Oh, really? I don't think he's quite big enough a name. Is he a multiple-time Pro Bowl player? I didn't realize.
Yeah, I don't know if he was multi-time, but Antonio Pierce was a good player.
He's a good player. But, again, also the other thing is, what have they shown? They beat 2 New York teams. Like, they haven't shown they can be a good team yet. If they win this, a couple of these games, we got Minnesota, Los Angeles, Kansas City, Indy, Denver. That does not feel like a lot of W's for the Raiders on there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Minnesota is the 3-point favorite on the road in this game. But listen, I think the fact that I know no moral victories, you kept it to a 1-score game against Miami in Miami.
I think that the Raiders are going to try and go big again. I don't know why, and I think it'd be a mistake. I feel like that's a franchise that
like a John Gruden level.
I mean, they said no to Harbaugh right before. They basically, whatever happened with Harbaugh, he didn't end up there. Yeah, I do think that the Harbaugh energy is like basically everything that's happened with the Raiders, they got to start over, right? They need to get rid of everything that's been there has to be gone. That's how I would view this team.
So who are the big time coaches who could actually fit that description? Harbaugh?
Yeah.
Bill Belichick?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if he's going to go to the Raiders.
I mean, that feels like a bad place to go because it's going to be hard to win quickly. But yes, That's a great one.
What other coaches are out there that are like these all?
Lincoln Riley's a big swing. I think that would be.
I think that would be a disaster.
The college coach thing is just a
Harbaugh, but Harbaugh had success in the NFL.
I don't think of him as a college coach because it's NFL success.
Yeah.
But like that's a whole different lane to me.
I think there's going to be a big market for Eric Bieniemy. That would be a big name to bring in. The current Commanders coordinator. I think there are a lot of names. You could do a retread like the Broncos did with Sean Payton. Is there anyone out there who I don't know? I just feel like there's going to be better options than Antonio Pierce if you're looking at a guy with a resume. Yeah. Because Antonio Pierce is new to head coaching. I think they're going to want somebody who has more proven success.
I'll tell you what, Lincoln Riley would probably be a disaster there. I just do not see him.
The league hired Cliff Kingsbury, who had a losing season before. Lincoln Riley at least has been to the Final Four.
It's true. What happened to Kingsbury? Flamed out pretty fast. 855-212-4CBS, now on Lincoln Riley's staff. 855-212-4227. Okay, lots to do, including the 4-time MVP calling out his own organization. That's something we don't hear every day. You'll hear it next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
It's a hump day, you know.
4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Aaron Rodgers strikes again, this time on McAfee Perloff, and it was surprising because he was kind of calling out his own organization. That is the New York Jets. He was calling out a lot of people.
You're surprised by Aaron Rodgers calling out his own organization?
He hasn't been there very long, and he's not even playing right now. So what could he possibly be calling out the organization for? Well, it turns out the organization and everyone around the organization, quite frankly, because he was calling out the whoever it was, and according to reporters from The Athletic, it was multiple people who had said that Zach Wilson was reluctant to get back on the field because he was afraid of getting hurt. Now, nobody cares about Zach Wilson. That part of it is not interesting. What's interesting is the Aaron Rodgers part, and that's where we need the music.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Okay. This is why this is interesting. Again, not Zach Wilson. Not the Jets' season is over. This part of it is not what is fascinating about the story. What's fascinating is that Rodgers is calling out the organization when he's going to play for this organization next year. So what's the relationship like, and how are they managing Rodgers, and how is this whole thing going to go if he's already has issues with the Jets, and rightfully so, by the way? Like, what's this dynamic going to be like? How is this going to work?
I'm actually a little bit, my jaw is dropping when you're saying that. Can I introduce you to Aaron Rodgers, the NFL quarterback? Do you know who he's been about most of his career? Aaron Rodgers. He didn't get along with the Packers, who is the nicest there out in Wisconsin. They're nice people. And he couldn't really make that work. Why did you think he was going to make it work with the Jets?
Because they weren't FaceTiming him when he's at the Malibu house, and everybody knows you got to FaceTime him at the Malibu house now. At least they had a Super Bowl. They had multiple, NFC championships that they, or one NFC championship, but they had a lot of success. Like, he hasn't done anything yet with the Jets, and things are already going poorly.
Well, is this going? First of all, what degree of it? It was a somewhat small comment. I know he was in love with the Jets, so it seems to me like the honeymoon is over. I'll give you that. Are we 100% positive he's going to be back there next year? I assume he is.
All in the stew. So here we go. Let's listen to Aaron Rodgers. Cut 5, please, Pete, where he is admonishing leakers. Who's leaking information to reporters?
Big city, a lot of reporters.
I get it.
A lot of friends.
I get it. They're not your friends.
No,
They're not your friends.
Yeah, what? Friends.
They're not your friends. Even if they are, like, is that really what you want to be about? You want to be about using someone in the media to leak stuff to, in order for what? To get them to put your name out there for a job, or if you're a player, to get you a write-up, something? I think it's chicken shit.
Rodgers went on to say leaks are a problem in the Jets organization.
That's a problem with the organization. We need to get to the bottom of whatever this is coming from and put a stop to it privately, because there's no place in a winning culture where, and this is not the only time, there's been a bunch of other leaks.
Yeah. The trust. It's frayed. And listen, you could say that Rodgers is all about himself or whatever, but the bottom line is he's the only one in that Jets organization who has a clue how to win. and there might be things wrong with Rodgers, but like, who else you following? No one else knows what the hell's going on.
Joe Douglas won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Let's
yeah, and how far down on the depth chart was he in the front office?
Second.
Dude.
It was Howie. Oh, no, he was a huge part of it. It was Howie and Joe.
Okay, then why do they suck then ever since he left? Because I think Howie Roseman is probably a bigger part of this than maybe we wanted to. He even gets tons of credit. He's like a celebrity GM.
I don't know. Joe found Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson.
And who else? Dak Wilson?
Listen, to find anybody with that organization is a huge credit. But back to Rodgers, though, you know what? One thing, he's confirming that the report is true by saying this.
Oh, he did that also.
Yeah, that Wilson didn't want to play. But that's what I'm so confused. I was told by this Jets frenzy of media that Wilson, the original report was Wilson didn't want to come back. And then everyone said, oh, no, Zach Wilson wants to play. All the players were standing up and said, no, he really wants to get out there. Now Rodgers is sort of saying that it's true. Zach Wilson did not want to return to the field.
I think they're trying to do damage control.
But Rodgers kind of kills that damage control a little bit.
Well, I think what it was is it might have been people around Zach Wilson, agent, whatever it is, who said, listen, we know he has no future here with the Jets. We don't want to get him hurt behind a bad offensive line to go out there and be a sacrificial lamb for a season that's in the toilet. So they may have said that. Robert Saleh said he talked to Zach Wilson, and Wilson said he wanted to play. After consulting with Rodgers, who told him, hey, kid, you might want to just get out there and play and not, stand on ceremony here and prove you can try to win. Yeah.
Now, sorry, that part of it was the only thing that Rodgers tried to combat. That he says that it was not factually accurate. The context of whatever conversation he may have had with Zach Wilson.
That it was about to get him back out there.
He said that he understands the kid is frustrated. He mentioned that, so that kind of makes it confirm that he's upset about something.
Definitely. And actually kind of turned weirdly Zach Wilson into possibly a sympathetic figure for 5 minutes, because you can understand why he would be upset with the organization who benched him, and, now wants him back, and they cut Tim Boyle. See, the other part about this, though, is the trust. And this is where the Rodgers thing, yes, Perloff, you say, we should have known about this because it happened in Green Bay. But if I'm the Jets, I'm trying not to repeat any mistakes there where the trust may have been frayed. I know. It sounds silly.
Okay.
But these are the self-inflicted wounds here, because you have, leaks. And Rodgers said this isn't the only one. There's been other ones that maybe he's let slide or whatever that he wasn't happy with. And then you have the head coach of the organization who's texting with a radio host on WFAN about, the team during the season. If I'm Rodgers, I'm like, okay, I knew I was coming to the Jets, but this is even silly, even by Jets standards.
Is it though?
I mean, it's not, Geno Smith getting punched in the face, but at least that was two players who had beef.
I mean,
this is the coach texting with a super fan with a microphone?
How many losing seasons have they had in a row? I mean, yes, this is emblematic of the Jets. It doesn't feel like this is pushing it anywhere that you wouldn't expect with the New York Jets.
It's funny, though. Some teams lose, and it feels like they're losing, and it's really just kind of on the field, right? Like the Detroit Lions. I'm sure that there's embarrassing stuff, but
that was a disaster.
No, there's lots of stuff, but
for years.
But not the head coach texting with a super fan reporter about the quarterback.
Stuff was all happening. You just didn't know it because it was happening in Detroit. I think there's a lot of hype about the Jets. I mean, the truth is they're just a bad team. It's just to their core. There's something organizationally dysfunctional here. And to me,
and even Rodgers couldn't save it.
Of course Rodgers couldn't save it. He's not a guy who brings in function. He adds dysfunction in some ways.
I think that was not the narrative, though. That was not the feeling going into the season before he got hurt. It was Rodgers stabilizes.
Idiots.
Well, Rodgers stabilizes. He actually knows what it takes to win.
Oh, my God. Who felt that? You felt that?
I did feel that.
I felt like
I still think he's the only one who has a clue how to win there.
You didn't think that there was you were already seeing signs of, whoa, this seems like odd energy around the fact that, they're on Hard Knocks. It's like, oh, we don't want Hard Knocks. And it becomes an Aaron Rodgers glory project for 9 hours on HBO. It felt like they were already kind of buying into the hype. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is an amazing quarterback, and he would have been really good on the field for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they brought him in as an emotional, functional guy. That's not Aaron Rodgers. That's Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is the guy with all the talent who is a bit of an outspoken character, I think. I mean,
no, you're right about that, but I think there was going to be a part of him that was going to be, I know maybe this is how great. I thought he was going to be a stabilizing factor because guys couldn't, fracture. Like last year, they were like wearing T-shirts to support the backup quarterback when the starter's playing. Like that crap would not fly, wouldn't have to. But you're not going to get the fracturing in the locker room because Rodgers brings a gravitas amongst the players that would keep everyone together. I
see what you're saying there, but also he's coming off a season where he refused to work out with the rookie receivers, and it was a total mess.
And he did the opposite of that with the Jets. He was in there all the time, all the OTAs.
But why would you think he wouldn't revert to Aaron Rodgers and the Jets revert to the Jets? That's, I think, and I'll admit I was a little blindsided by, I was a little overly optimistic about this, but of course this happened. Does this surprise you at all? First of all, I would like to see him leave the Jets and go somewhere else next year, just like Brett Favre, because Brett Favre was awesome the year he left the Jets. Imagine getting Aaron Rodgers back in the title picture, because I don't think, you know what? I'm not going to be fooled again. The Jets are never going to get this right. There is just no way. It doesn't matter. The details are almost irrelevant. They're going to be the Jets. They're going to be Jetsy in.
Oh, but the details are so juicy and good. They're so silly. That's what makes it Jetsy in, is the details are so out of control. Think about it. If Robert Saleh is texting with a super fan and Joe Beningo, who else is he talking to? That means he's got to be talking to everybody. Like, I'm sorry, I know that might be a stretch, but how could you not think that? And if I'm a guy in the locker room, I'm like, what are you texting Mike Greenberg about me? What are you talking to Larry David about me? What are you talking to Liev Schreiber about me? Like, who knows who this guy's having conversations with? That's crazy.
That's actually grounds for termination as far as I'm concerned. You know,
totally.
he's talking to people in the media very casually.
What are you talking about? Sean Payton has his plants all over the place. Yeah, all the coaches have plants in the media.
It's come out as a joke in this situation. It's not. Everyone talks to everybody, but in this situation, it seems like it's
he got burned by Beningo.
Yeah, it seems like it's too casual there.
There's a lot of leaks.
But this happens all over. Coaches talk to media all over the place.
But you never hear about it.
Well, the Sean Payton thing, he went on the record with USA Today and had the whole, thing about Nathaniel Hackett being a terrible coach and then blamed it on a latte. We clowned him for that. We totally laughed at him for that.
But everybody knows in every city that the coach has his guy in the media. I know this one went a little south, but this is not unusual for a coach to talk to the media members.
Totally not.
All 32 teams have that situation.
Okay, but generally the coach, I think, and this is no disrespect to Joe, who I know and I think I have a good relationship with, but those people are a little more vetted and I think understand the situation. Like, hey, I'm talking to you, and if we're texting, this is not for broadcast verbatim on the air where you're reading my text messages. Like, normally reporters and sources, like, there's a little bit more of a, hey, here's what you can attribute to me. Here's what you have to do on background. Here's what we do off the record. There's levels and layers to this. And the fact that Saleh trusted the wrong person and got burned by Beningo is an all-timer.
Like we all know Joe, and Joe is great. But, is he the person you're giving top secrets to if you're an NFL head coach?
In the middle of the season?
I'm sure there are other media members. I'm sure Peter King. I'm sure Adam Schefter. I'm sure there are people you could talk to who would say, okay, this is obviously on background, or this is obviously off the record. I mean, I don't think that sports radio hosts are the people that I'm talking to with this kind of sensitivity.
You can talk to radio hosts and we all have our people we call and stuff like that. It's just, it's got to be clean. There has to be some trust there with the person you're talking to that they're not going to burn you.
Right. That's why I think it's on Saleh. I think Saleh handled it very, very loosely.
Hey, what did they say? Didn't Joe text him and say you should put Zach in? And he said, "Are you kidding me?"
So Joe sent a 6-point plan to the head coach of the Jets in the middle of the season about what they have to do to turn the season around.
Why are you soliciting that from Joe Beningo? And I love Joe Beningo again, but you're the Jets NFL head coach.
You think Saleh asked for that? Hey, what's your 6-point?
No, he clearly has a relationship with him.
No, they do. So here's the first part was Saleh was defending his poor record with the Jets, win-loss record, by texting Joe and who knows who else, the other early win-loss records for other quote-unquote successful coaches in the NFL.
Okay.
Comparing himself to Sean McVay's first years, to Kyle Shanahan's first few years, to Zach Taylor's first few years. So this is clearly a bullet in the chamber that Robert Saleh has to try to tell media people, hey, this isn't that bad. My record is actually better than these other successful coaches in the first couple of years.
Okay.
Why do you care? Like, so it's not soliciting. Like, they're going back and forth. Like, he's
right, but that's not super damaging because that has nothing to do. That's not a leak or anything.
No,
that's
just
not a leak. Defending yourself.
That's defending yourself, right? So clearly, rabbit ears up, right? On people in the media.
Keep receipts, as he said.
Keep it receipts. Yes, right. Yeah, he does say that. And then Joe sends him a 6-point plan,
right,
about how to turn the Jets around. And number 3 on the plan was put Zach Wilson back in.
Okay.
And Robert Saleh wrote back like, thanks for this. And as for number 3, what are you kidding me?
Right.
And Joe went on the air and said that meant he doesn't like Zach Wilson flatly. And Robert Saleh cleared up and said, no, I said, are you kidding me? Because you've been telling me how terrible Zach Wilson is, and now you want me to put him back in? Are you kidding me? Joe misinterpreted it. By doing that, he kind of outed Robert Saleh that they're having this back and forth conversation and talking about certain players in season, and trust is broken, I think, at that point. If the coach is texting with Beningo, who hell knows who he's texting with?
Whereas, about 80 feet away is Boomer Esiason. You don't think he texts Frank Reich during the season? Of course, this is happening all over the place.
Okay, but what do we know from that?
Well, Boomer will probably report on it.
Well, but Boomer also protects Frank at times, too, right? Like, that's what happens.
This happens all the time. This seems a bit harmless to me. Like, this is Robert Saleh is going to get fired because they have 4 wins, and they're probably going to end the season with 4 wins. This is, I feel like this is getting a little bit overhyped because, I mean, he did have a defense. I kind of buy his defense. Am I an idiot that Saleh said, are you serious? Like,
no, I buy. I think Joe misinterpreted.
Yeah. By the way, Joe Beningo, guess if I'm a coach, I want to interact with Joe Beningo. Yeah, what are you talking about, Joe? Joe's fascinating when he talks about the Jets.
It's Fireman Ed with a microphone.
But you never hear Boomer say, I'm texting with Frank Reich every day.
Yeah, but you hear all sorts of media members saying, I got a text from this coach. Happens everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But you would think that, I don't think that if Robert Saleh do you think that he wanted Beningo reading the text messages on air?
No, of course not.
Definitely not.
This has happened millions of times where things were texted. Like, this happens all the time, but especially with players and former players. You'll always hear a story where a player's like, oh, so-and-so texted me this, and the player's like, oh, you weren't supposed to do that. I mean, that happens. You guys, I think, are just paying more attention to it because it's the Jets. I don't think this is as rare a situation as you're painting it.
Again, then I get Aaron Rodgers on McAfee saying we can't have these kinds of leaks when the head coach is talking to super fans, and that story comes out too.
So wait, do you think Rodgers? Is there any chance he leaves?
I don't know.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
Really?
Get him out of here. I'm done with this. He only adds fuel to the fire. He doesn't do anything to help the situation. He only hurts the situation. Like, this already is becoming a clown show. And what does he do? He goes on Pat McAfee. This is a guy who's injured. Like, NFL players on all sports, usually there's a code. When you're injured, you're kind of maybe to be seen but never heard, and maybe even not be seen. This guy wants to be seen every single week. He's adding fuel to this fire. He's wondering, why are people trying to assassinate Zach Wilson's character? Guess what? Because you and Robert Saleh keep saying Zach Wilson is so great. And you keep gaslighting everybody, saying how great he is, how great a teammate he is, how great a player he is, and he's not. Yeah. So this is why this kind of stuff happens.
Well, that's why Kelsey said Tuesdays are game days for Aaron Rodgers.
Right, and it's he doesn't help anything. So at this point, like, you're useless for us right now. And if he comes back healthy, whatever. But I'm just so done with Aaron Rodgers and the mess he brings. He brought in this clown Lazard. He brought in this clown. What's the name? The terrible offensive coordinator, Hackett.
Hackett.
Cobb can't play.
But here's the thing,
he's brought nothing to the team.
Well, Hackett was here before Rodgers got here. Even before that was even considered. And there was,
it was to lure him here.
This was a dumpster fire before Rodgers got here.
That's what I think. Like, Rodgers doesn't make Robert Saleh text with Joe Beningo.
But why does I think interesting point? Why does Rodgers have to say that on Pat McAfee? That we need less. Like, what's the point? What's he adding to the situation by saying that?
By defending Zach?
By saying publicly,
about
no. By
leaks?
saying, like, this team needs to be careful about leaks. Like, why don't you say that internally? Like, why would you say that on Pat McAfee?
He's airing out the organization publicly, I think, because it's that big of a deal. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Good teams don't do that. Good organizations. Like, maybe it happens every once in a while, but not to the degree that it happens with the Jets.
Right, but also a lot of players don't do that as well. Like, a lot of players don't go public with what should be an internal issue.
Fair.
He's saying, don't leak to the public, and then he says it in the public.
On ESPN.
Like, yeah, he's like, keep it in the building, and then he's in ESPN.
It's like Dan Lanning saying, we're not doing this for clicks, like when the ESPN cameras were in. I loved it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, special guest going to join the show, JJ Redick. You know him, you love him, maybe you hated him when he played at Duke. We're going to talk to him next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
On behalf of Draft.
Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff, and it's our pleasure right now to welcome in one of the most prolific shooters in the history of the NBA. He's joining us on behalf of DraftKings Sportsbook. They're offering additional promotions, including new customers who bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. It's JJ Redick, good enough to join us now. JJ, thanks for the time. How you been?
I've been good. I've been very busy. You know, juggling ESPN, the podcast, all the stuff we do with DraftKings, and of course, coaching a fourth grade travel team, which has been it's quite an experience.
All right, rank the best fourth graders. Now, just kidding. We need you on top of all of those duties. We need you to settle a show debate that is broken out between myself and Perloff. So we're talking a lot about the in-season tournament, and we got on this debate, which is, I said, how much do you think LeBron cares about winning this inaugural in-season tournament? And Perloff said, well, it'd be lame to care about winning this tournament that much. And I said, well, don't you think Michael Jordan would care about winning this tournament? Why would LeBron be lame for wanting to win? And Michael Jordan, if he wanted to win, would be that crazy, maniacal competitor that everyone, loves forever.
Well, it's funny how we can't talk about LeBron without talking about MJ. It's funny how that works. I had to do some promo stuff for ESPN because I called every Friday's in-season tournament group play game during the month of November. And leading up to the first one, which was Knicks at Bucks, did some interviews about this. And I've said this a couple of times, and I'll repeat it, and I think it's important to repeat. The NBA is full of psychotic competitors, and you don't need to give them a reason to wake up in the morning and compete for something. They just naturally do that. We tend to look at the players and the guys that aren't wired that way, and they, for some reason, stand out. And the reason they stand out is because the majority of players are psychos. That's the reason that we can sit there and talk about, he didn't bring it tonight. He's not as consistent. Yeah, because he's not a psycho. Most of the players in the NBA are psychos. Indiana, that game was so entertaining. It felt like a playoff game. And you get to the end of the game, Tyrese Halliburton, who's playing in his first nationally televised TNT game, goes for a triple-double, hits that 4-point play, hits Aaron Nesmith with the fast break dunk. And the reaction to that, you can't tell me these guys don't care and it doesn't matter to them. They're competing for something. And for LeBron, I mean, he's one of the ultimate psychos. Like, Chris Paul doesn't need a reason to wake up in the morning and compete for something. He's just naturally going to compete. That's how he's wired, and that's how LeBron's wired.
Yeah, but some guys are more psycho than others. What are all the legends about Kobe Bryant, for example? If everyone's a psycho, how do you really stand out as a psycho amongst a league full of guys who want to win?
Well, you just do stand out. It's not like an intentional thing where, like, you wake up in the morning, you're like, you know what, I'm going to stand out today. No, you just do what you do. And, you spend, I used to tell people all the time, I'm like, when I would join a new team or, training camp preseason would start and we get our draft picks in, or, we get a guy on his second year who maybe was, bottom of the roster his first year. Like, I could tell within 3 days if that guy was going to have a long career or not. You're either wired that way or you're not. Like, it just stands out. It makes sense. Are you watching? What are you doing on the flight after a game? What are you doing on the flight? What time are you showing up for your rehab? What time do somebody have to tell you to get extra shots in before practice, after practice? What are your off-season habits? Like, you just know. It's not like, and for young players, I think it's beneficial. This is why the vets are so important. Like, you need to be around good vets who can show you by example what it takes to last. And a guy like Kobe, who I had the chance to be around some with USA Basketball, I always tell the story, like, I get in for, I think it was 2007 for the training camp. I was part of the national team from 2006 to 2008, and I didn't get a chance to try out in 2006 for the World Cup team because I had a back injury. So the next year I come in, I show up on a Sunday, training camp starting on Monday. I get in, I text Chris Collins and Steve Wojciechowski, Duke assistant coaches at the time who were helping out, and I say, hey, meet me at the practice gym at UNLV at 2:00. I'm going to get some shots up. And so I go there. We're meeting on the court. Johnny Dawkins rolls in, and I was like, JD, man, you look rough. You out late last night in Vegas? Like, what's going on? You look like and he's like, nah, man, Kobe's wearing me out. He's had me in here every morning at 5 a.m. You know, he's got the counter to the counter to the counter, and he's got to make 15 in a row, and he's in here for 3.5 hours every morning at 5 a.m. Like, Kobe was absolutely the biggest sicko of them all.
JJ Redick is joining us on behalf of DraftKings. Is Zion a psycho about being competitive?
In terms, I was around Zion. In terms of the work, it wasn't there when I was there. And I think it's important to note that for a lot of young players who are physically gifted, that have had probably an advantage leading up to their time in the NBA just based on their athleticism, the game comes a little bit easier. A guy like TJ McConnell, the game never came easy. A guy like CJ McCollum, the game never came easy. So I think that's, in some ways, for a guy like Zion, it's a little bit of like a learned behavior that it just takes time. And I think sometimes, even with a guy like Zion, when you then have success in the NBA, well, it doesn't click just quite yet. And from everything I've heard, with the injuries over the last couple of years, like it's starting to click for him, just in terms of, being a little bit more maniacal about taking care of himself and the work. But in terms of, talent and physical ability and trying to win, like that side of competitiveness, like he's got all that.
JJ Redick joining us on behalf of DraftKings Sportsbook. They're offering additional promotions, including new customers who bet $5 get $150 in bonus bets instantly. I'm always like a little obsessed about this as someone who's on the outside, which is the players only meeting, which is something that the Pelicans had, and it was written about recently. Name a time, JJ, when the players only meeting worked, and then be honest and name a time when it really didn't work and the players only meeting just like could not course correct what was going on.
I can think of a couple from my career. My first one was my rookie year, and I think it was after a practice on the road or after a shoot around on the road. We had a players only meeting on the bus. The backstory on this was basically that we had a players-only meeting. Grant Hill primarily sort of led it. Tony Battie, Keon Dooling, those guys were very vocal as well. And it was like constructive. But the issue was our coach at the time was Brian Hill, who back in his first stint with the Orlando Magic had gotten fired right after a players-only meeting. Back with, I think it was Penny and Horace Grant and those guys. And so the paranoia level following that players-only meeting, like that is ultimately what made it unconstructive. Like it didn't really help us. And then later on, we had one my first year with the Pelicans, and we had like a 13-game losing streak at one point early in the season. About halfway through that losing streak, I went to Alvin Gentry when I got to the gym for practice, and I just said, hey, man, we're going to meet at 11 practice time. I don't know how long this is going to take, but we'll be out on the court after. And he's like, cool, you got it. And we sat in there, and we was just like open and honest and forthright, and like it was very constructive. Now, we lost a few more games in that losing streak, but I'll never forget like Alvin Gentry and Chris Finch, end of the season, we lose in the bubble, and I go for my exit meeting, and they were like, we had so many up and downs this year. Zion, of course, was hurt for a while. The bubble, COVID, all that stuff. It's one of my favorite teams I've ever been on. One of my favorite groups I've ever had in my career. And I think a big reason for that was the players-only meeting. We never broke. We stayed together. We enjoyed each other. We didn't point fingers. And ultimately, I think if you're telling the truth and you're holding each other accountable in these players-only meetings, and it's not just about an agenda or what you want or what you need, and it's about the team, those things can be very, very helpful.
Talking to JJ Redick. JJ, not to creep you out, but I've been a neighbor of yours in New York City in the recent past, and I'm also a Sixers fan, so we have a lot in common.
Love it. Love it.
Question, who so far, I know it's very early, who do you think is come out on top of this Clippers-Sixers trade for James Harden?
Oof. It is early. I think for Philly, it was a win because you get back rotation players, you get back draft picks, you can then package things, and a number of those players they got in that trade are expiring contracts. So I think ultimately it could be a big win for Philly come post-December 15th, leading up till the trade deadline. For the Clippers, I still think it's too soon to really determine whether or not it was a win. Anytime you add a ball dominant player to a roster, there's a learning curve there. There's some time it takes for everybody around Harden to get into a rhythm. Luka's in Dallas is the same way. Like, I think there's a learning curve there. Certainly it was there last year. They're playing much better this year, but there was a learning curve there last year where, Kyrie goes there and it's different. And Kyrie primarily, has played off the ball for most of his career, but it's a different experience and it's a different rhythm. Ultimately, if you have talent in the NBA, I think you can figure things out. I'd probably, if I was ever to coach in the NBA, I'd much rather have talent and some issues and problem solve around that than have zero talent and no issues.
Well, JJ, if you ever coach in the NBA, don't you have to bring Coach K to sit on the bench? Even if it's in just an advisory role, wouldn't that help? We know you did an interview with Toronto, right? But couldn't you bring Coach K out of retirement?
That's an interesting thing. Coach K, believe it or not, is awfully busy in retirement. He's consulting on a number of things. He's got all his speaking gigs. It would honestly have to be up to the owner because I know Coach K's price tag is pretty hefty. So.
Pretty high. JJ Redick, DraftKings Sportsbook, they're offering additional promotions, including new customers who bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. We're DraftKings users, so we see your photo on all of our promotions, which is great. Really quickly, last thing, there's a show bet going on, JJ, and I'd love to get your take on it. Andrew Perloff has said that if Victor Wembanyama wins Rookie of the Year, he's going to drive from New York to San Antonio to apologize to Wemby by holding up a sign in French that says, "I'm sorry, Wemby," and walk on the Riverwalk. Do you think Perloff will be making that trip to San Antonio or not?
Well, why would he be sorry? I don't need to know the backstory here.
Because he doubted him.
I think Wembanyama's not ready to be a superstar. I thought he wasn't ready to be a superstar yet.
Like if Wemby wins it over my dead body, I'll drive to San Antonio and apologize to him. Kind of like, haha, Wemby.
Interesting. Well, he still has a chance to win MVP.
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year. Sorry, I would probably lean towards Chet Holmgren at this point. The Jeremy Sohan experience has been pretty up and down for Wemby and the Spurs. So I still 60 some games to play or whatever. But he's in the running, and I truthfully I have no doubt that he will have an unbelievable career and that he will be in the conversation for MVP and first team All-NBA throughout his career. And part of the reason, it goes back to how we started this conversation. The guy's just wired the right way and understands at a very early age the work and the maintenance and the extra care it takes to play in this league. And for any rookie, you're going to have these ups and downs and lulls in the season. It's just a completely different experience than college or playing in Europe where you're playing once a week. But he's going to be great. I have no doubt he'll be great.
Secretly, I just wanted to go to San Antonio. I have this breakfast taco spot there. You know what I'm talking about, JJ.
Why? So here's the thing. Can we please bring breakfast taco culture to New York City?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, there's like two spots you can get them. They need to be on every single corner. There needs to be like a great breakfast taco place on every corner. You go to Austin, Texas, you go to San Antonio, Dallas, like they're everywhere. It's what I miss the most. We lived in Austin for a few years, and it's like what I miss the most about Austin is just being able to be like, you know what? I want to go get a great breakfast taco. Instead, I got to make them for myself. I don't have time for that.
It sounds like an injustice. We'll have to have you back another time to talk about Cooper Flagg, but we're flat out of time. JJ Redick on behalf of DraftKings Sportsbook. JJ, thanks so much for the time. I really enjoy you broadcasting games now and on TV. It's great.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
He's right about the taco thing. This is more of a bagel city.
Well, that's the main reason I want to drive to San Antonio, because there's little restaurant. It is unbelievable. It's worth the 27-hour trip.
Yeah, he made me realize we should probably explain the bet a little bit more fully every time. Like, why are you going to apologize? Like, oh, because he called him Wen Bust Yama, all of that. Manny Rodriguez is here with updates. Good morning, Manny.
Good morning, you guys. Well, the last hour we spoke about the more exciting of the in-season tournament games. Now we turn to the one that ended up being a snoozer.
Oh, great.
The Bucks, they were hosting the Knicks in Milwaukee. For the Knicks, Julius Randle was a machine. He had 41 points on 19 shots. Jalen Brunson had 24. RJ Barrett added 23, but it was too much Bucks and too much Giannis.
Giannis going to pull up straight on three, and he buries it from straight on. Comes away flexing his biceps.
Courtesy Bucks Radio, Giannis scored 35 points, including that lone three. You guys, the Bucks were 23 of 38 from deep. That is 60%. EJ, my God, dude.
It was like they could not miss. And it was crazy because Knicks probably executed the best they have all season offensively, and it did not matter at all.
Scored 122 points to the Knicks, and still remember the days, EJ, when we would just cry wishing that we could score 122 points in a game, and here we are in 2023, and we're still losing games even though we're scoring 122 points.
Wait, when did this update become some kind of Knicks cry party? Yeah. Let's move it along here. The Knicks pity party is officially over.
Now, me and Manny had a little chat before we were going to get this ready to go for 7:20
all right.
or 7:40.
You know, one problem was I noticed last night Giannis can literally fly. He reminds me, he dunked from 9 feet away yesterday.
I know.
He's out of control.
One dribble from half court on a steal. One dribble. and he dunked it.
Okay, and I said, at some point, are we going to have someone who can dunk from the three-point line? And everyone told me that I was insane.
Well, unless we're playing slam ball or we're putting, jetpacks on guys. I don't know if we're seeing that.
I thought he was getting a little older and maybe couldn't jump like that. Then he had one last night. I was like, oh, he still can.
Well, he's not even 30. He's not even 30.
Speaking of Giannis getting older, he actually turns 29 years old today.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he's actually not thrilled about going to Vegas.
I'm away from my family. I gotta select team. Got to go there. We have 2 games ahead of us. I think we're facing Indiana, and after that, we're gonna face another team. So I'm just trying to stay locked in the basketball games we're gonna play. I feel joy when I'm around my family, so my family's not going to be there, so it's going to be a weird birthday.
He won't be with his family. A reminder that his brother, Thanasis, is a teammate.
Half of his family, I think, is employed by the team, right?
That was the anti-LeBron take right there.
What, that he doesn't want to go?
Care. He clearly doesn't care at all about the
in-season
tournament.
This was way more ridiculous than LeBron's take. I mean, he plays in the NBA. He's away from his family often.
He's just saying, he's like, I think we play the Pacers. He clearly was. That was I do not care about this statement.
Oh no, you watched him play. He definitely cared the way he was destroying the Knicks last night.
He scored 35 points. The dude averages 30 points a game. Whatever.
Right. And his team had scored like 1 million points in this game, more than I think they've scored all season. Clearly, they cared about winning this game in this in-season tournament.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, that gentleman right there. Now, a reason we've heard the players, they're excited to be going to Vegas, well, it's because of that $500,000 at the end of it. Well, it doesn't sound like Giannis got that memo in this exchange with TNT's Jared Greenberg postgame.
Could make it a little better. You said you're going to play roulette. You're going to get at least $100,000, so that'll make it easier.
Are we getting money now? We got some money?
That's a surprise to you.
The rich get richer.
The rich get richer, said the Greek poet.
Honestly, he's amazing.
Where has Giannis been for the last month? Does he not listen to Sports Talk Radio?
But also, this guy's like the Greek chorus. Like, he's saying exactly what everyone's thinking. What NBA player, especially Giannis, just signed another contract extension? It's not about the $500,000. It's about the pride.
Well, not for him. He doesn't even care about the pride.
He said the rich get richer, so.
Yeah, right.
He knew. When I actually would think about it, he knew you got 500,000.
No.
Someone must have mentioned it to him.
Well, remember, Jared Greenberg there said you're getting 100,000 because you get 100,000 just for getting to Vegas. So a lot of people also don't realize that.
Got it. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so when he says you're getting money here, he's like, oh, we getting money now? I think he didn't realize that even getting this far, you actually get some money.
Is he going to just go straight to the casino, put that 100,000 on red, and ride it till it's gone?
Oh, he actually said he puts it on blue 34. I don't have that audio, but he puts it on blue 34.
The whole 100,000.
Yeah.
That might be why
that makes sense,
you
though. His
flush
number is
$100,000 down the toilet.
The Bucks have an alternate jersey that's blue.
Yeah,
there you go.
Last night.
You want to do Giannis' career earnings?
Yeah. And he's only 29, so this is part of his career.
29 today. Yes, I'll guess in the range of $325 million.
Not that high yet.
180,
250,
$1.
234.
234, and he's 29 years old.
EJ wins again.
The rich get richer.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Family man.
Yeah, I mean, but apparently not with Thanasis, evidently. You guys want to do a little bit more baseball hot stove, perhaps? Yankees and Red Sox made their 8th trade, Maggie, since 1969 last night. Alex Verdugo goes to the New York Yankees for 3 right-handers. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts says the team met with free agent Shohei Ohtani for 2 to 3 hours and called the two-way star a top priority.
And that probably took the Dodgers right out of the running for Shohei Ohtani because he said, if you leak anything about our meetings, it takes you out of the running. Manny, thank you so much. Fantastic job. Nice job, Dave. Roberts, that is the skipper. Coming up, coaching rumor that's just too juicy. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute sponsored by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. Old Trapper, where's your beef? Nope. Old Trapper, what's your beef? This is Maggie Gray with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. Old Trapper, what's your beef? The first rule of Shohei Ohtani's free agency, you don't talk about Shohei Ohtani's free agency like some bizarro fight club. At least that's according to reports that are...
The anticipation just grows and grows for one of the most significant signings in baseball history. I'm Andrew Perloff.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's hump day, you know.
Welcome back. Hey, it's Wednesday, which means coming up in just about 10 minutes, we will do our great debate question for the week. This one is a good one. Inspired by the news of the week.
Good, but it's going to make some people mad because there is a topic out there that I'm still sensing a burning anger out in the field.
Little sensitivity. Welcome back. 855-212-4CBS. We mentioned the Shohei OHTANI, and Manny mentioned it a little bit in the last segment doing our update. And I got to be honest, like, I'm all in on OHTANI. I love watching him. I'm in on the story. I like following his every move. But there's one part of this to me that just does not add up. If it is really true that he will take teams out of the running if they mention anything about meeting with him in free agency, that might be the most short-sighted, dumbest thing that he could possibly do. That this seems like a fake story to me, that if anyone mentions that they met with OHTANI, they're immediately out of the running, like Fight Club or something. Like the first rule of Fight Club, you can't talk about Fight Club. If you talk about OHTANI's free agency, you're immediately out.
Well, you're being inconsistent because earlier in the show, you agreed with Aaron Rodgers that the Jets should not be leaking things to the press. Now you want these baseball teams to leak the details of OHTANI?
That their coach is like bashing the quarterback, not that you met with somebody for a few hours.
No, he's trying to see how tightly sealed these organizations are. No, I don't totally understand why he's doing this, but also I don't believe him because the Dodgers said this. Of course, how can these other teams compete with the Los Angeles Dodgers for Shohei OHTANI? Why are the Toronto Blue Jays in my timeline? Well, what is going on here?
Because they might cut the biggest check. Here is what Dave Roberts, if this takes the Dodgers out of the running, then I can't trust OHTANI.
Yeah, we met with him. You know, I don't want to. I'd like to be honest, and so we met with Shohei and we talked, and I think it went well.
That it would be crazy if OHTANI's like, I'm going to make this massive decision about where I'm going to spend the next decade of my life and who I'm going to play for and who I want to win championships for. Like, these kind of tests, test them in some other way, not this stupid stuff.
I have a conspiracy as to why he doesn't want anyone saying anything.
Oh, what do you got?
We've seen some teams and players who have met with multiple teams, done the song and dance, done the whole recruiting trip, and then not choose teams.
Yeah.
And then kind of come pariahs for those organizations when they go back. Shohei Ohtani is a rock star. He's the most popular player in sports. He's one of the most popular, or in baseball, sorry.
Yeah.
Sure.
One of the most popular athletes in sports.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants the smoke of having to go to Toronto or go to one of these places and have people booing him because they thought they were getting Shohei Ohtani.
EJ, you're selling him short. Do you have to be much more mentally tough than if you're going to really succeed and you're about to be paid $500, $600 million? Newsflash, the pressure's coming. And if you go to a certain fan base, like, you're going to get booed by your own fans if you don't do well. Like, if he decides to come to New York, which I don't, reportedly he has no interest in.
Says a lot about him right there.
Okay, but like, that's the thing. If you're worried about the one time a year you would go visit the Toronto Blue Jays and 5 fans are going to boo you, you are mentally weak.
Okay, get out of here. There's some crap that an agent said anywhere. You know when an agent is lying is when he's speaking. So he's totally signing with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers just leaked it. So basically, you think Shohei
So it makes him look toothless now. Like, you did this whole thing. Dave Roberts was like, no, we met with them. Now you're going to sign with them anyway?
I think if he gets $600 million, he'll live with you calling him toothless.
Well,
plus, I think Shohei is probably not even paying as much attention to this as we are. I mean, Shohei's got his own vibe going, and it's not like us.
Well, sure. 855-212-4CBS. Great debate series. What did we pick this week? Hint, it's inspired by the biggest news story of the week. We got it for you next. Stay tuned.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's been on the TB12 method since he was 6. She's on her 3rd scotch. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Wednesdays around here, we do something called the Great Debate Series, where we take a topic that is inspired by the news, Perloff, and we debate it.
Hence the Great Debate Series.
Pretty straightforward. Let's hit it. Today's great debate. Here we go.
The Great Debate Series.
And today's great debate inspired by Florida State University, Perloff. Ever heard of them? Getting robbed of a spot in the college football playoff. We are doing the greatest sports robberies, screw jobs, injustices, whatever you want to call it. The biggest ones we've ever had in sports. I don't know if FSU is going to make the cut.
Well, I think we should rule FSU out. I think you need a little bit of perspective. That happened 3 days ago.
It was literally
Can they make the
on
list?
Sunday.
I honestly feel like, you know what? No. Let's put them on there because people want to call in and say this is the worst screw job in sports history. I want to hear it.
Well, and I know that we have a lot of wrestling fans, not to be conflicted with the Montreal screw job. No. The greatest sports screw jobs of all time.
That's number one.
We know, Pete. I knew you were going there. Would you like to go first, sir?
Okay. Let's go into our time machine. Woo! I'm doing the Wayne's World time machine. All the way back to a time called 2018, pre-pandemic.
What was that?
2018 NFC title game. Now, I know this is recent, and we've gotten some criticism in our Great Debate Series for going too recent. But to me, it is the Rams-Saints NFC title game. Let me paint the scenario for you. 1:49 left. Score tied at 20. The Saints are driving. They throw the ball down to Tommy Lee Lewis. Who could forget Tommy Lee Lewis? As the ball is heading to him from Drew Brees' arm, he gets tackled by Nickel Roby-Coleman. No flag. If they had called the flag, then the Saints could have kneeled and won the hit a short field goal to win the game. Instead, the Rams come out on top. Let's hear the sound.
Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis. Nickel Roby-Coleman delivered a hit. And the two officials talk to each other. Crowd's going crazy as there's no flag right on the Saints sideline.
Well, if Nickel Roby-Coleman plays the ball, it's an interception. It's probably going the other way with it. I mean, the ball's on the other side of Roby-Coleman, but that should have been a penalty.
So basically, the Rams, the Saints kicked the field goal. The Rams came down, kicked a tying field goal, and the Rams won in overtime. went on to the Super Bowl to lose to the Patriots 13-3. And I think the Saints were a better team. They probably could have beat kind of a down Patriots team. Cost the Saints a second Super Bowl, possibly. The next year, they decide to review pass interference plays. Didn't work, and now we're stuck with bad pass interference calls all over the place.
Yes.
So I don't know what we've learned from that. But there was multiple lawsuits, and to me, to get onto this list, some legislator has to sue. If there's no lawsuit, like Florida State, you need some legal action. This was so big that it actually got somewhere in the courts. This, to me, is the ultimate screw job.
It's a good one. Now, I decided to not go with any referee call because that call, as bad as it was, the no call, there were a million times in a million ways Drew Brees and the Saints could have won that game. And they could have won. It shouldn't have all come down to that one call that led to this domino effect. So I can't say it can just be one bad call as the ultimate sports screw job. What I think is the biggest robbery screw job in sports is the Seattle Supersonics leaving Seattle and going to Oklahoma City. Now, this was classic new owner. Howard Schultz sells to Clay Bennett. Clay Bennett was from Oklahoma City. At first said he was never going to move the team, but he wanted a new arena or upgrades to Key Arena. They couldn't receive the public funding, but a deeper dive on this will show that a Washington State senator by the name of Frank Chopp never actually brought the proposal to the people of Seattle to even vote on whether or not they wanted public funds to improve the arena. Like, ultimate screw job. We don't know what people would have voted for. There were on both sides of the of taxpayers paying for stadiums. But there was a major caveat here in that Steve Ballmer, who was then the CEO of Microsoft still, was willing to pony up $150 million of his own money to try and keep Seattle and the Supersonics in Seattle. So it wouldn't have been the full freight that the taxpayers would have had to pay. At least that's how I'm reading it now. This obviously all went down in April 2008. This is a franchise that had Gary Payton, Sean Payton, going off of your 2018, of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, and a proud franchise in a city that loved basketball. And in April 2008, the last game was played. I mean, Kevin Durant was a part of that organization. And who knows, like, the legacy and the 41 years of professional basketball in Seattle was wiped away.
You know, it's a really, really good one. But I'm just curious, there were two famous football moves, the Colts moving in the middle of the night and the Browns leaving Cleveland. I thought those were just slightly more intense because there's documentaries about both.
Totally. So here's why I went with Seattle is because we don't even have the Supersonics anymore.
Yeah,
we still have
they never
a version
got a
of
team.
the Browns. We still have a version of the Colts. Like, we got the Ravens out of this, so we got an expansion.
Well, we
into
still
Baltimore.
have a version of the Sonics.
A different, not an expansion. We got a new franchise. Yeah.
Well, okay. So your argument is that those cities got new teams eventually.
Yeah, they did, and they got the name, the legacy, all that stuff. Like, if you're Seattle, that franchise is now just over. Like, you're the Thunder now, like, and it's not even. It doesn't feel like a continuation of the Supersonics.
What if Seattle gets a team back next year? It feels like it's been so long that it doesn't really fix that injustice.
I don't think it does. At the same time, I think that Vegas is what's on everyone's radar now in terms of expanding. So I don't even know if Seattle is going to get us.
Usually you expand two teams, so
I think it's going back to Canada.
I would hope Seattle would be Montreal.
I would hope so too.
Or Vancouver.
Back to Vancouver, maybe. Again, Vancouver at least is still the Grizzlies that I'm going to Memphis. Like, you keep the name, you keep some association. Maybe Supersonics is just gone. It's like poof, it's just over.
We'll see. Maybe they come back. I mean, we just got the Kraken.
That's true.
Okay, that is a good one. And you forgot Xavier McDaniel, my favorite Sonic.
How could I? EJ, biggest screw job, robbery, injustice in sports is what?
So Perloff was on the right track, I think, with pass interference calls, but he got the wrong pass interference call. So this one goes back to the 2003 Fiesta Bowl. You have Miami Hurricanes going for a second back-to-back national championship against Ohio State, and an incomplete pass in the end zone somehow gets called a flag. Here's a call from the great Keith Jackson.
Lorette's up there as a wide out too. The ball goes into the end zone, and it is incomplete. Intended for Gamble. Now there is a penalty flag thrown. Hold on. Hold the phone. Everybody comes running down on the field. You got to get off because there's a penalty flag thrown, and I think it's against Miami.
And if it's thrown in the end zone, the ball will be placed on the 1 yard line.
Miami, you're talking about the greatest college football team of all time, really, truly would have been crowned that had they got a second national championship. So many NFL players. And look, you could hear the fireworks. You hear the crowd cheering. If you watched this, you saw Miami players running onto the field celebrating. Ohio State players crying. Craig Krenzel, the quarterback, on the ground. Everyone thought the game was over except for that bozo referee who was at the back of the end zone who threw the flag about 5 minutes after the play happened and said that it was a pass interference, which it was not, by the way. Glenn Sharp, covering Chris Gamble, hit him right as the ball came there. So clearly not a pass interference. And to decide the game like that, put Ohio State on the 1-yard line and allow them to go ahead and win that game. Absolute egregious situation. Another robbery for the Miami Hurricanes, which seems to happen quite often in the history of college football. And the NCAA just seems to love to screw Miami anytime they got. This was probably the worst of it all. So I'm taking the 2003 Fiesta Bowl, Miami, Ohio State. The pass interference call that should not have been called is the worst sports screw job. Wow.
All right, Pete Bellotti, what do you have?
Well, I'm going to, you know what? I see Andrew Bogusch in here. I'm going to let him go first, and I'm going to save mine for last. All right?
Andrew Bogusch is jumping in today. He's actually going to be hosting Bill Ryder's show after us, but you just needed to get in on this great debate.
Yeah, and Pete's being a gentleman here because I think we have the same one because we're gentlemen as a whole.
Yeah.
That's right.
Are you, though?
Yeah. Yes, Maggie, I am. Contrary to popular belief in this room, I am a gentleman when push comes to shove.
The meanest people on the show, and I believe you were number one with a bullet, but anyway.
It's also relatively speaking.
It's true.
Well, I'm going to go with a referee call, an umpire call. Armando Galarraga pitched a perfect game.
Good one.
He pitched a perfect game, and Jim Joyce, for whatever reason, called safe instead of out at first base on the 27th and final batter. I said at the time, and I still believe it now, baseball should have fixed it.
Yep.
There was no repercussions. There was no butterfly effect. It was the last play of the game. They should have retroactively given him one. We'll always remember his name, but he should have a perfect game on his resume. He absolutely got robbed.
You are so right. And actually, there is a butterfly effect, though, because then we got replay in baseball.
That was a smoking gun.
But it wasn't like in the seventh inning, they get 8 more batters. The game was over.
The game was over.
But
you're right.
I disagree. Because it's like Pete Rose not making the Hall of Fame. He made a career out of not making the Hall of Fame. This play, if it was just another perfect game, another no-hitter, we would remember it. But now we always remember it because of how it ended.
It is a screw job, though. It is an all-time robbery.
It's a screw job. But then they became friends, and they
I know.
Shame on Galarraga for being nice.
I would never be friends with him.
What about the fact that they turned it into a positive? None of these other things ended up positive.
I'm sure Andre Galarraga must wake up in a cold sweat at least once a month, just being like, Joyce. Sorry,
I actually buy his. He forgave him. I thought that was a beautiful moment.
They say about holding grudges, it's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Yep.
Bigger man than me. Yes, Pete?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, it is a precursor to instant replay.
Yep.
And also, you could tell how egregious it was because the next day, Jim Joyce goes out there and is basically bawling his eyes out when Galarraga
Good
brings
Morning
out the
America,
lineup card.
right? Or Today Show or something?
This was on the field.
On the field.
No,
Listen,
I thought that did he sit down at one of the morning shows, too? Did I make
He
that
did
up?
eventually, I think, but this was like the very next day on the
he
field
did
day.
the
show, I think.
Oh, did he?
He came on with us. I seem to remember. By the way, that's just a Tuesday for Angel Hernandez on Bad Call. Let's just be honest. I don't even know if he qualifies.
Great call. Pete, was that yours also,
That was
Galarraga?
mine. Yeah, that's why I had Andrew kindly stated better than I.
He actually whispered in my ears. I sat down. What's yours? I was like, you're not going to have mine. What is it? Armando Galarraga. Yeah, that's mine. I'm like, are you kidding
Wait
me?
a minute, Pete. I thought you were doing the Canadian figure skaters.
No, not them. But I had a bunch of other ones though. The Pete Rose not being in the Hall of Fame is a big injustice, considering the fact that there's sports betting everywhere now.
Yeah.
It's a total hypocrisy in sports. So I mean, the guy doesn't help himself. But I mean, it's time to cut our losses here and put him in the Hall of Fame. And then a big injustice for me, NBA leaving NBC. I think that's really led to where we are now, with players not really caring about the regular season because NBA on NBC really made you care about the regular season.
Didn't expect that. What about the weed?
Rumble rock, baby.
Yeah.
What's that?
What about the weed?
That too.
Okay. But trust me, there was weed in the NBA when it was on NBC.
It was just illegal back then. Not anymore.
Ricky Davis played in this league. I mean, come on.
Ricky Davis. Oh, man.
I remember the day that Christian Laettner got suspended for weed. I was like, man, everybody's smoking.
That was the contact high, though.
855-212-4CBS. Okay. there you have it. We're doing the biggest sports robberies, screw jobs, injustices off of Florida State not being named a college football playoff finalist. It's a good one today.
I got to be honest. The first caller has one that I kind of wish I had done too, because this is a good one.
Okay, why don't we just get right to it? Sean is in Oregon's got a good one for us. Good morning, Sean. What's up?
Hey, we got to go with the Tuck rule, you guys. By the most crooked organization in sports.
Tuck rule's a good one.
Off the field. Losers off the field is the Patriots. What would Aaron Rodgers say if his owner got caught in a massage parlor? You see the guy, you talk about text messages. Did he have to destroy his phone over those text messages? This is the nastiest organization in sports.
Sean, here's one thing. I had forgotten about the Robert Kraft thing. And when we talk about screw jobs, we should probably not talk about Robert Kraft in some kind of massage parlor.
But I'm the mean one.
It was right there, Sean. Thank you. If I was Brady, I would also destroy my phone. And the reason is because I don't want everyone in the NFL seeing who I'm calling and texting with. I feel like those would have leaked out in some totally unrelated way to Deflategate.
Okay.
Someone's just up in your business.
I totally agree with that. But Deflategate, he clearly did it.
Yeah.
But that's right about the Tuck rule. Now, Tuck rule, technically, you could argue that it was within the rules. But that is one of the great screw jobs. I mean, the Raiders won that game, basically.
Okay, so all-time screw job. That was in the divisional round, though.
Yeah,
it was not the championship round. You would have had to still beat the Steelers to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, that same team, I believe they made it the next year, the Raiders. They had a great chance to go ahead. And
I know.
That was a snow game, and the Raiders, I give them credit for even being in that game. They were the better team than the Patriots.
At that point in time, that ended the John Gruden era at that time in Oakland. He was the hot coach, and they eventually ended up trading him to the Buccaneers,
and then their Bucks beat them
in the Super Bowl.
Right,
the next year.
Because they didn't change the plays.
So that loss not only cost them that game, it might have cost them the next Super Bowl because they had Bill Callahan coaching them, not realizing that John Gruden's going to know everything you're doing, and maybe he's going to change up your signals, change up your play calls, and they did not. So that was almost a double whammy.
It's an all-time screw job. It totally is. So here we go. Around the horn. Perloff has.
I have the 2018 NFC title game. No pass interference. Saints lose to the Rams.
I have the Seattle Supersonics leaving Seattle. All-time screw job on the fans of a franchise that had been there for 41 years. EJ?
Miami, Ohio State, bad pass interference call keeps Ohio State on the field, and they end up winning the national championship.
And Bogish/Bellotti.
The Armando Galarraga non-perfect game.
There you go. And Sean in Oregon had the Tuck rule. 855-212-4CBS. Good to see you, Bogish.
You
Thanks
too,
for
guys.
Jumping in. Hey, yo. 855-212-4227. The all-time biggest screw jobs in sports. What do you have for us? This is off of Florida State being left out of the college football playoff. More Maggie and Perloff next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. I hate to do this. I'm going to totally go off the rundown. Did not talk about this. I love, you know how you love breaking news to somebody?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
You know, this is
you
one
got
that,
news?
This is delicious.
Wait, what?
And I'm so glad that I get to tell you live this little tidbit.
Wait, you got news?
It is news. I didn't break it, but it's out there.
Okay.
It's out there. Can you guys guess who the Time Person of the Year is? And you might have heard already.
Deion Sanders.
No, he was the Sportsman of the Year for Sports Illustrated. The Time Person of the Year.
Victor Wembanyama.
Not Victor
Jim Harbaugh. Connor Stallions.
Who is the Deion Sanders of the non-sports
Elon
world?
Musk.
Oh, please no.
That would have been a good one. It's Tay-Tay. Taylor Swift is the Time Person of the Year. Talking about great controversies.
Man.
That's a good one, right?
Why, was Jason Kelsey not available? He turned it down?
Taylor Swift.
Was Brittany Mahomes tied up getting her nails done? Wow.
I mean, that's a good pick, by the way.
That is a good. That's going to sell some magazine covers.
Year.
Yeah, I mean, her concert sort of changed the whole business. Her concert tour and the movie changed the business.
Gonna be honest, like it's one thing for like People magazine to make her Person of the Year. We're talking about Time. I'm not going to tell them to stay in their lane. I know a lot of people over there because they are owned by the same people on SI. But we got like multiple like international conflicts going on. We got a lot of things happening in this great big world besides the Eras tour.
But it's a positive. Like I think the other options would have been a negative.
Yeah, I by the way, I got to double check that.
I wasn't going to make it the leader of Hamas or something, Pete. Nothing like that.
But they usually do go in those directions,
Yeah,
Right.
world leaders.
Yeah, I got to make sure that there are multiple people of the year, which is a new trend. Time has our 100.
It's a hedge.
It's a cover of Taylor Swift with her red lipstick, blue eyes, and sort of a weird outfit going on. She's got a turtleneck. Anyway,
it's definitely Taylor Swift. We know that from that description.
What's that?
It's definitely Taylor Swift. No one in the listening would think it was anybody else given that description.
Great talent, weird outfits.
By the way, my daughter says that Taylor Swift dresses like a mom, and this is the most mom outfit I've ever seen in my life.
See.
It is, my daughter who's 13.
It's just a picture of her face. How can you even tell what she's wearing?
She's wearing a corduroy jacket and a denim shirt and a turtleneck. That is not, that's mom clothes. So, don't think
I always can't tell if I should be offended by this because I am a mom and I'm certainly wearing clothes.
Trust me, if you got inside the head of my 13-year-old, she thinks that not only are we old,
lame.
we're basically dead. We're so old.
Oh, man. 855-212-4CBS. All right. Well, the great debate series for today is the greatest injustice, screw job, robbery in the history of sports. So let's take it around the horn for a second. Perloff picked
2018 NFC title game. Saints got screwed. Rams advanced to the Super Bowl.
I picked the Seattle Supersonics getting taken out of Seattle. EJ?
Miami screwed by the refs in the national championship game 2003. Ohio State wins.
2010, Armando Galarraga getting screwed out of a perfect game.
All right, let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. What do you think? Let's go to Corby is in Boise. Good morning, Corby. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Mine is the 1972 Olympic Games. USA basketball gets screwed out of the gold medal because they kept giving Russia the ball back 3 or 4 times before they finally won the game. That's my screw job.
Yep, it was an all-timer, Corby. Thanks for bringing that one up. It's great. It's the Doug Collins, still like a salty, and the 72 team salty that Doug Collins took a couple free throws that put the United States on top. There's about 40 seconds left, I believe. There were 3 seconds left, pardon me, and they let Russia inbound the ball like 3 different times, basically, until they scored.
I mean, listen, if you can't trust Russian sports, I don't know what you can trust.
You can't trust FIBA?
Yeah, I mean.
Airtight organization.
But no, that is a great one, and there's documentaries about it, and it's, I mean, obviously none of us were there, but it's incredible to me that this actually happened. Imagine if that happened in 2023. The outrage would be out of control.
Crazy. Let's go to Dominic is in San Francisco. Hey, Dom.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for taking my call.
You got it, pal. What's up?
Good. I believe I have, if you look up in the dictionary, sports screw jobs, the original one is the immaculate reception.
Wait a second. Wait, you're saying the ball hit the ground?
The ball not only hit the ground, but it hit Frenchie Fuqua first. And back then, if it hit the offensive player and then another offensive player, it was no good.
It hit basically the same time the offensive and defensive player, didn't it? It was close.
No, it hit Frenchie Fuqua right in the chest. And then the ball hit the ground when Franco Harris grabbed it. The Raiders got jobbed.
It ricochets off of him like a slingshot. And I don't know, Dominic.
And then hits another offensive player, which is against the rules back in the 70s.
You know, we had another one, a good one from Dom. Thank you so much, from Sean in Oregon, who said the tuck rule. So you get the Raiders a couple different times getting on the wrong side of a screw job.
Yeah, and now look at the Raiders. All could have been different. Now, wait, I got to double check this because I recall that the ball hit Frenchie Fuqua, but it also hit the Raiders defender at the same time.
It did.
It's a simultaneous. No. Well, that caller's wrong. He said it clearly hit Frenchie. That is not the case. You could slow this down a million times. It's not clear.
It's close. It's very,
and it
very
definitely
close.
there's no proof it hit the ground. Anyway, I can't believe I'm arguing like this happened on Thursday night or something.
Yes, it was the Sunday bad call and also the immaculate reception. Same. We're arguing all this stuff. Glenn's in Sacramento's got a good one. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
I think the Dallas Cowboy game when Dez Bryant caught the ball, switched hands, crossed the goal line, and they said that was no catch.
A football move. And that's when a football move really entered the lexicon. Glenn, it's a great one. Thank you. We're still talking about that because we still are arguing about what's a catch in the NFL.
Well, it's a great all-time controversy when it has a name. Like you just say the Dez catch, non-catch. Everyone knows exactly what game you're talking about, where they were when they watched it. Just like the Tuck rule, just like these famous, I think the Saints-Rams game.
Yep.
You will never forget it.
What's so great about the Dez is that it has to be called the catch, no catch.
Yeah.
Because we still can't decide even what it is when we talk about it. Was it a catch? Was it not a catch?
No idea. And by the way,
of course it wasn't.
I think I have my timing right. The Cowboys in part advanced because of a controversial call against the Lions the game before where there was a clear pass interference that they missed. I think it was the same playoffs. So, I mean, that's football. It's a hard sport to officiate. There's always going to be calls. That one will go down in history.
Oh, definitely. But now the minutia of what a catch is, like, it made it worse. It was injustice for Dez and the Cowboys, but it ultimately, I think, hurt the NFL because it's like you're parsing the language.
But that controversy actually makes it interesting too. It doesn't really hurt the NFL, obviously, because I think the fact that you arguing over a call is not necessarily, if it's close enough, it doesn't hurt the league. It makes it more interesting in a way.
I guess, but we still don't know what a catch is. This is insanity. Matt is in Sacramento. Good morning, Matt. What do you have?
Hey, I'm saying the city of Oakland, the fans losing 3 franchises within 5 years.
Matt, I didn't go with Oakland. I could have when I went with Seattle Supersonics. Thank you for the phone call. Seattle losing the Supersonics because I thought it was an all-time screw job. Because the people of Seattle never got a chance to vote on whether they actually wanted to fund the stadium, right? Like Oakland is layered.
One thing about, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, the Warriors, at least they're in the Bay Area still, so you can still root for them and see them on TV. Not nearly as bad as Seattle, just going to Oklahoma City.
Right. They didn't even keep the name.
And the A's thing has been a mess. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think Oakland wants the A's as they're currently constituted in Oakland. They got to fix that franchise for many, many reasons.
Hey, but by the way, did you see the Major League Baseball draft lottery, the second ever draft lottery where the A's would have had the best statistical chance and they didn't get it? It went to Cleveland.
Cleveland went from 9 to 1. Yeah. 9 to 1. Isn't that what it was?
I think they had something like a 5 or 6% chance of getting the number 1 pick and they got. Oh, Manny has that in his update. We just blew that for you, Manny. Hold tight. Mark is in Michigan. We're talking about all-time screw jobs in sports. Mark, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm a Nebraska fan. In 1994, maybe a lot of people won't remember this, but Nebraska fans will. The Orange Bowl game with Florida State it had a Big East officiating crew, and I can still see the guy, and I can remember John Sophie was his name. And after the game, Trev Alberts just talked about how they were protecting Charlie Ward. I mean, he just kind of in jest because at the end of the game, there were penalty after penalty, and they were just absolutely blown calls. And one of them was on Baron Miles, who was a safety for Nebraska, who held up as a guy was going out of bounds, and they called him for a late hit. It set up Scott Bentley, who was like on the cover of Sports Illustrated, a kicker who was like their top recruit. He kicked a field goal to put Florida State ahead. Nebraska still had a chance because they completed a long pass with like 4 seconds left and had a 45-yard field goal. But that was just inept officiating.
Wait, who won the game?
Incredible.
Is that the one Nebraska won or the one Nebraska lost?
That was the one that Florida State won at the end of the 93 season.
Yeah, but the 93 season, I was going to say, because in Nebraska, they won the next
Florida
two.
State lost to Notre Dame in November and got back in the NCAA championship race because Notre Dame lost to Boston College the next week. But, of course, Nebraska went on to win 3 of the next 4 years national championship and even could have won in 96 had they not lost to Texas in the Big 12 title game. So, but 93, that Orange Bowl game for the 94 January 1 was just horrible officiating.
Mark, like it was yesterday with you recounting that. Thank you so much. Ultimately, good call. But, again, like Nebraska does end up becoming they were the preeminent program in the 90s.
Yeah, Saints never. My choice, the Saints never got back to the Super Bowl. Your choice, Seattle never got a team yet. Andres Galarraga never got his perfect game.
Right, exactly.
Armando
got Big Cat. Andres Galarraga never got a perfect game.
I loved him. He was a great hitter.
One of my favorite players, even though he's a Brave.
Sick first baseman too.
How about Andy, also in Michigan? Hey, Andy, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. Thanks, guys, for taking the call. Love your show. I'm so pissed that you've moved to mornings instead of afternoons because I liked you better in the afternoons because whatever. Anyway, this is one that not as many people know about. In the late 80s, Olympic boxing, Roy Jones Jr. got screwed out of the gold medal by Park Si-hun. It was such a landmark case that it officially they changed how boxing was scored after that boxing match.
You know what's so funny about that, Andy? And thank you. And sorry we don't sync up with your schedule as much anymore, but thank you for finding us in the mornings. We appreciate that so much. What was crazy about that is, first of all, like Roy Jones Jr. went on to have this incredible professional career. So I think that's why it is remembered as an all-time robbery. Yeah. But had he not gone on to have this great pro career where he made millions of dollars and got all this fame and fortune, I think it would have felt like more of a screw job. But he became Roy Jones Jr.
It's interesting. Like, we're judging these screw jobs based on what happens afterwards sometimes.
Yeah, according to an article that I read when we were getting ready to do this topic, Park, the boxer who ended up winning, Park Si-hun, won the gold because the Olympics were in Seoul, South Korea. He's South Korean. He won the gold. Roy Jones Jr. wins the silver. That he said he wishes he had the silver because it kind of like weighs on him, even though it wasn't his decision. Like, he's feeling the guilt about it.
I mean, boxing decisions, you could do 10 of those probably for boxing aficionados.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, keep them coming. All-time injustices, robberies in sports. And if you want to weigh in on the chat as well, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can go. Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Here is Manny. Good morning.
Good morning. The Eagles, they will look to bounce back from their Week 13 loss to the Niners in front of the whole nation on Sunday night as they travel to Jerry's World to take on the Cowboys. It's no secret, however, Jalen Hurts has been dealing with a knee injury all year long. Despite this, his backup 2014 Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota saw the playing field for just the first time this season on Sunday. But former top overall pick David Carr says it's time to pull the plug, Perloff.
Put Marcus in there, win a couple games. Yeah. Maybe you have the number one seed still. You might have it. I'd say he's probably better at playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, he would be more productive.
Hey. Guys, is it time for the Eagles to move on to Maggie's favorite duck of all time, Marcus Mariota?
I thought it was Dennis Dixon.
I do love Dixon. I can't believe that Carr he's got to be trolling on this. Like, even a hobbled Jalen Hurts, again, love Mariota.
He's not that hobbled anyway. I know
exactly.
But he did have a concussion, which is a little tricky.
So why'd they put him back in the game?
I don't know.
We got to be fair. I mean, he was cleared of the concussion.
Yes,
he had a concussion, but.
He was
still. It felt the game was out of reach. It was odd that they put him back in, even if he was testing for a concussion. You know, I have these many Philadelphia sports text threads, and my friend was saying this whole thing is Jalen Hurts' fault. What are you talking about? He had 300 yards, a touchdown, and no picks against San Francisco. He had, I think, the best performance against San Francisco we've seen from any quarterback this year. So what was wrong with Hurts? I mean, Hurts. You watch that game.
You want Hurts to sit against the Cowboys?
No,
Why?
I don't want Hurts to. No. I definitely want. I do not push Goddard, and if Lane Johnson so much as limps, get him out of the field. Hurts is obviously going to play, but I do understand what David Carr said.
Weren't you advocating earlier that you think that Jalen Hurts should not play in this game because you think they're going to lose anyway?
I would say the Eagles should consider load management here. Now Hurts, if the game's a blowout and Hurts is limping at all, yeah, pull him for sure. Like. Yesterday, for example, the Niners game, there's no reason he should have come back in the game. You got to protect him. Something like that happens in Dallas and they put him back in, I think everyone is rightly going to be screaming. It's an important game, but there's a reality of you got to keep these guys healthy. That's the most important thing. Coming out of this healthy is way more important than a win.
What else you got, man?
Oh, I got some more baseball hot stove. Did you guys know that the MLB lottery was last night? Yeah, second installment of it.
Did they have a production like the NBA does?
They kind of did, yes. So tell us, Mr. Brad Paisley. Yeah, Brad Paisley. Who won the lottery?
With the first overall pick in the 2020
2024 MLB Draft. I've got it backwards. There it is. Cleveland Guardians.
Cleveland Guardians had a 2%.
So exciting.
Wow.
The Guardians had a 2% chance of winning the whole thing. They beat out 8 other teams with better odds, including the Oakland Athletics, the Kansas City Royals, and the Colorado Rockies, all of which had an 18% chance of winning the first pick. Tops in the league. Cleveland, you guys, actually won it on the second try on Tuesday.
What?
They did it twice. The first drawing of 4 ping pong balls at the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center in Nashville, that's why Brad Paisley was there, came up with a 3, 9, 11, 13, a winning combination for the Nationals among 1,001 combinations. But Washington was ineligible to pick in the top 6 because the CBA states a team that pays in the revenue sharing plan cannot have a lottery pick in back-to-back years, and the Nationals chose outfielder Dylan Cruz with the second pick this year.
Interesting. So if you're a team that makes enough money, you can't have back-to-back lottery picks?
Yeah.
The Mets, I mean, they because of their luxury situation, they went from 9 to 19.
Oh, yeah. Well,
funny you bring that up because the New York Mets, the Yankees, and San Diego Padres are each likely to drop 10 slots in the draft because they exceed the threshold for the second luxury tax surcharge and were not winners of a top 6.
This is very complicated for Brad
So-
Paisley.
Yeah,
Brad Paisley
right.
must be like, what?
yeah, he's like, can I get a guitar up here and just start singing? Where's Peyton Manning?
And so after the ping pong balls were redrawn, 8, 14, 10, 7 were selected. Guardians combination.
Bingo.
They win. Yes. The Reds, Rockies,
Yahtzee.
A's. Reds, Rockies, A's, and White Sox round out the top 5.
Okay. Manny, thank you so much for those headlines. Appreciate that. Coming up, we got more of your phone calls on the all-time sports robberies off of Florida State not making it into the top 4 college football playoff. What else you got? People in sports, teams, cities, fan bases, who got jobbed? 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff straight ahead.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Tell you, we put this out and the response has been huge. On Wednesdays, we do something called the Great Debate Series around here. It's something loosely based on the news of the week. So the news of the week is Florida State getting robbed of a spot in the college football playoff. So we asked you for the biggest sports robberies, screw jobs, injustices, however you want to put it. And the ones you guys are coming up with are amazing. We have our own. Chris Vannini is going to join us right now. He's a senior college football writer for The Athletic. I mean, Chris, you cover college football. Like, this is right up your alley. Florida State is probably a big screw job. Is there a bigger one that you can remember?
I'm going to have to go back to my childhood. 1997, the WWF Survivor Series, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart in Montreal, the Montreal screw job where Bret Hart didn't tap out and the referee said he did. Shawn Michaels won the WWF Championship.
Wait, Chris, what about college football, the sport you cover?
There's the fifth down that was Nebraska, Missouri. There have been a lot of pretty famous ones, I think, across college football. That one comes to mind.
Yeah, Chris, so where do you stand? Do you think Florida State got screwed?
I don't want to say screwed. I just think it felt inconsistent with what the committee has always done, and opening the door of having an undefeated Power 5 team not make it. I don't like that. I don't like the committee saying, yeah, Jordan Travis, this is basically your fault for getting injured. I mean, to see that tweet that Travis sent out saying, I wish I had broken my leg earlier was just gutting, I think, for anybody. And it's the first time, really, that some of the committee members have now said anonymously, we didn't think this Florida State could compete for the national championship. And it's the first time ever that the committee has basically projected what it thinks will happen, and that's why it made the decision. That's usually never the way it's happened before.
Chris Vannini's joining us from The Athletic. Okay, but what do you think is going to happen now that we have our Final Four? We've got Michigan, we've got Washington, we've got Texas, we've got Alabama. Who do you think wins it all?
I think we're going to have two really good semifinal games, and I think if the point was to create the most interesting semifinal games, the committee did do that.
Yeah.
I think Michigan's only favored by 2 points against Alabama last I saw. I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama was favored, honestly, by the time that comes. I mean, you could pick any of these teams. I think Texas has a real shot. I think Alabama has a real shot. I might say that Texas and Alabama, the 3 and 4 seeds, actually may be my 2 top picks of the 4 to win the championship.
All right, we're talking to Chris Vannini, of course, of The Athletic. We were trying to sort out the big story yesterday in college football. Well, one of the many big stories.
Yeah, it's been a big week for college.
Everybody's transferring. Was the NCAA president, Charlie Baker, unveiled a new plan for a subdivision within Division I sports where you would be able to pay athletes, I believe, a minimum of $30,000. So this was announced by the NCAA yesterday. Is this something that is going to happen, and what are the sort of immediate impacts of this proposal?
Well, it's not official. It's very early. It's going to have to go through a lot of feedback and adjustments. I don't think this specific thing will be the thing that happens, but it's the first time, really, ever, the NCAA has opened the door and said, we need to pay players. And the reason for that is because there are a number of lawsuits that are coming down the pipe that could make athletes employees, that could result in NIL back payments, could blow the entire thing up, really. And the NCAA has been lobbying Congress. The commissioners have been lobbying Congress to say, hey, we need an antitrust exemption. We need some federal NIL legislation. They were in D.C. a couple of weeks ago. So now they come out with the NCAA comes out with this proposal, and now they can say to Congress, hey, look, we have a plan. If you grant us this exemption, we have a plan that's going to provide money to athletes, provided equally through Title IX and stuff like that. So, yeah, it'd be a minimum. The idea in general is a minimum of $30,000 per athlete, equal to male and female, and it has to be for at least half of your athletes. So that could come out to anywhere between $6 million to $15 million annually for schools in the Power 4 conferences. At minimum, would be able to pay that, and maybe the high-end group of 5s as well.
Chris, the transfer portal has become like the thing, and especially for quarterbacks, but all high-end recruits, maybe basically being free agents. Would this legislation, how would that impact what we see now with the transfer portal, if at all, do you think?
I don't know if it'd make any difference one way or another. I mean, it does, transfers are kind of its own thing, but it got tied into NIL because it happened at the same time. And another thing that this proposal would do would allow schools to directly enter into NIL agreements with their athletes. That is not allowed right now. It's basically done via third parties, boosters, collectives, and stuff like that. It would bring in a lot more in-house because it's kind of a weird situation right now where a lot of the money going toward the talent, going toward the athletes, is coming from boosters and sponsors and outside people and not the school itself. So this is an idea of, hey, the schools are making all this money, all this television revenue. It's time that a lot of that starts going to the athletes, something that Jim Harbaugh obviously has been very public about, saying needs to happen.
Chris, what about the Title IX implications? In the reports, it says if a male player gets $30,000, a female student athlete will also be required to get $30,000. How would that logistically work? What type of female athlete would get that money to match the football team, for example?
At least right now, it sounds like anybody you feel is worthy. And a lot of these are minimums, by the way. It's a minimum of half your athletes, minimum $30,000 each per athlete, whatever you do. But if you want to give $50,000 to all of your football players, then an an equal number of female athletes are going to have to receive that money as well, because that's what has to fit under Title IX. And that's why, a lot of these collectives, some of these collectives that are working as charities, some of them are quasi within the school, may be violating Title IX if football, basketball players are making a lot more of the money. Now you can say, hey, the football team, they're the ones who make all the money for the athletic department. And that's true. And that's why some people still think athletes need to be employees, because then it's not under Title IX. But the NCAA doesn't want them to be employees, so this is an attempt to not prevent that from happening. And as a result, female athletes would be making a lot more money.
Chris, we got about 30 seconds left on this one. What do you think has been the best new coaching hire in college football so far?
One that popped up last night. New Mexico hired Bronco Mendenhall, kind of out of nowhere. He had a really successful run at BYU. He took Virginia to an Orange Bowl a couple of years ago. So it's a coaching cycle in which some of the toughest jobs in college football have opened up, but they've made some pretty good hires, and I think that is a really good one that might go under the radar.
Chris, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. Chris Vannini is a senior college football writer for The Athletic. I hope we'll be checking in with you again soon, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that.
He's also, by the way, has a wrestling podcast. So his choosing the Montreal Screwjob is the greatest injustice in sports history. Not a surprise.
Well, quickly, let's go John in Arkansas. John, you also wanted to say the Montreal Screwjob was the biggest robbery in the history of sports.
Yeah, I did. Well, actually, my son is a huge wrestling fan, so he's like, you got to say the screw job. You got to say the screw job. So, yeah, he kind of stole my thunder there. But I do have a question. You guys were talking about Jalen Hurts. When's the last time you saw somebody go into the tunnel with concussion protocol and then come out and play?
Well,
yeah, it was surprising to me.
It was shocking, John. Thank you. I mean, didn't this happen with Tua last year? They said it was a back injury, and he went back out, and then he got hurt again, right? Am I remembering all this correctly?
I don't remember. Did Tua actually go into the locker room, though, or did he go into the blue tent? I'm not sure. That did feel weird.
Point.
Once you leave the playing field, it's rare to come back like that.
Okay, keep them coming, guys. The biggest all-time robberies, injustices, screw jobs, whatever you want to call them in sports. This is off of Florida State not making it into the top 4 of the college football playoff. We see you on the phone. We are going to get to you next. It's all about you. 855-212-4CBS.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is the Great Debate Wednesday around here where we take topics inspired by the news and open them up. So this week, the biggest story in sports is Florida State not being put in the top 4 of the college football playoffs. So we're asking you the biggest injustices, robberies, screw jobs, whatever you want to call them in the history of sports. Pete, we might as well hit the music again. Top of the hour, totally new audience. Let's go.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay, biggest robberies, biggest injustices, the thing that you still are thinking about maybe years later, months later, whatever it is. All-timers, if you'd like to go first, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I have to check the dockets in the courts in Louisiana and federal courts to see if this is still being litigated. But how about the 2018 NFC title game? Sounds like this.
Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis. Nickel Roby-Coleman delivered a hit. And the two officials talk to each other. Crowd's going crazy as there's no flag right on the Saints sideline.
Well, if Nickel Roby-Coleman plays the ball, it's an interception. It's probably going the other way with it. I mean, the ball's on the other side of Roby-Coleman, but that should have been a penalty.
Yeah, you think? Yes.
Troy got there eventually.
So the Saints end up losing to the Rams. Rams go to the Super Bowl, lose to the Patriots. All-time screw job. What were those two officials talking about, by the way? Well, he said, Hal, I think you really screwed that one up. Yeah, I know. Anyway, that 2018 NFC title game.
Okay, I did not go with a referee call because, as we know, even a terrible call like that, it's not just one call that loses or wins a game for somebody, right? There's a million plays. Drew Brees had a million chances to win that game.
Well,
he couldn't do it.
That specific. Okay, anyway, I see what you're saying.
I'm going with the Seattle Supersonics leaving Seattle because this is why this was a screw job. We see teams leave cities all the time, Perloff, and it's usually over money and new stadiums and all of that. But you look a little bit closer here, and from what I can garner of what happened with this situation, there was a Washington State senator who wouldn't even bring this proposal to the city and people of Seattle. They didn't even get a chance to vote on whether they wanted upgrades to Key Arena that could have kept the Supersonics in Seattle. Meanwhile, Steve Ballmer, who ended up buying the Clippers years later, CEO of Microsoft, was allegedly going to put up $150 million of his own money to try to get the renovations and the project further along. 41 years there was basketball in Seattle. It is no more. The team of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and Xavier McDaniel, as Perloff mentioned, it's just a shame. And it's not even like the new team went to a new city. It's just poof, gone. Huge screw job. EJ.
So I'm going with 2003. The Miami Hurricanes are on their way to winning their second straight national championship, cementing themselves as the greatest college football team of all time. A pass thrown in the end zone on 4th down, and a phantom flag that comes out. It felt like an hour after the play actually happened, ends up being a pass interference. Here's how that sounded.
Lorette's up there as a wide out, too. The ball goes into the end zone, and it is incomplete. Intended for Gamble. Now there is a penalty flag thrown. Hold on. Hold the phone. Everybody comes running down on the field. You got to get off because there's a penalty flag thrown, and I think it's against Miami.
And if it's thrown in the end zone, the ball will be placed on the 1-yard line.
Somehow the Miami Hurricanes continue to get screwed throughout their greatness. People want to give them the death penalty, hammering them with all these sanctions. Miami always seems to get the short end of the stick when it comes to the NCAA, but here, this was the ultimate one because this one actually was on the field. Other things were stuff off the field that they maybe got too heavy-handed on in terms of penalties. This one, on the field, Miami won the game. People on the field, fireworks going off in the background. Craig Kinzel's crying on the floor that he lost, and somehow a flag comes out. It was a complete shame that Miami team didn't get that second national championship. So that, to me, is the greatest sports screw job.
I'm shocked, DJ, you didn't go with last night's officiating controversy in the in-season tournament of the NBA. Did you think that is such huge stakes that
the only thing
How
I love
could they
more,
grant the Lakers a timeout there?
The only thing I love more than the in-season tournament is the Miami Hurricanes.
Pete, what do you have for us?
Armando Galarraga's no perfect game that was he was screwed by umpire Jim Joyce on the final play of the game. Clearly a out call at first base, and it was ruled safe. The precursor to instant replay, and the most obvious screw job in the history of baseball.
I mean, I think we got 4 really good ones here, but let's go to the phones and hear from you. 855-212-4CBS. George is in L.A. Hey, George, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, guys. It's the Rams and Patriots again. 2002 Super Bowl. They proved the Spygate that Belichick and his crew were cheating. Can you imagine you're in the Super Bowl, you're the Rams, Reddish Show and Turf. You got to change your whole game plan because they know your plays. I mean, that was ridiculous. NFL didn't do something about that.
Yeah, it's never been totally confirmed, right? 100% that the Patriots were able to spy on the walkthrough that the Rams were doing before the Super Bowl.
In fact, I thought that was refuted to some extent, but
well, talk to Mike Martz about it, which we did.
Even so. All right, that one, there's a little question. I have no doubt that they deflated footballs, so you could have gone that way.
Yeah, and listen, Spygate definitely happened. That was, for sure. But as far as the walkthrough before the Super Bowl, it's never been 100% confirmed, but I think we all know. Patriots don't get the benefit of the doubt with that kind of stuff. Logan is in Pennsylvania. Good morning, Logan.
Hey, thanks for taking the call.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one really flies under the radar because I think it was really early in the season. But back in 2012, when the NFL had the referee lockout, and they had the replacement refs, and then they had the Seahawks and the Packers with the Fail Mary.
Yep.
When both the refs kind of looked at each other, and one went to go investigate, and the other one just put his hands up in the air, and you could clearly see that the Packers defender came down with the ball. What a terrible look by the NFL, and you can't really blame the referees for that. It's just a terrible look by the NFL for putting, those poor refs in that situation to begin with.
Logan, it's a good one because it's a regular season game, so maybe it doesn't rise to the level of like EJ's, national championship game or whatever, but it did end that referee lockout because it was so egregious, happened between these two big franchises, like contending franchises. And it was the Russell Wilson to Golden Tate connection, broken up. MD Jennings? These names, it's like going in a time machine. But yes.
And also, like all great controversy has a great nickname.
Well, see, that's why I thought the Jets thing on Black Friday, where they had the, the missed field goal that got run back? No, the Hail Mary attempt that ends up getting run back for a touchdown the other way by Miami. You can't call that the Fail Mary because we already have a Fail Mary.
Yeah, but that wasn't exactly Russell Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers either. That was Tim Boyle.
Versus Tua. Yeah, not exactly the same. Matt is in Arkansas. Hey, Matt, what's up?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
What do you got, buddy?
I don't think you can have a
I don't think you can have a robbery in sports list without including the Detroit Lions. And if I may, I have the two worst because the NFL still doesn't know what a catch is. But against the Bears, Calvin Johnson catches it, goes to the ground, possesses the ball, uses the ball to get back up off the ground, and it comes out of his hand. It's ruled not a catch.
Ridiculous.
And then Golden Tate gets tackled on the half-yard line against the Atlanta Falcons. They rush up to do a quarterback sneak. They stop the play to review, which should presumably only help the Lions. They uphold the call on the field, and they lose to a 10-second runoff.
Oh, Matt, just pain. That is just awful.
It's funny. I don't remember the Golden Tate one as much as the Calvin Johnson one was. That was part of the no catch thing.
Well, usually too with the 10-second runoff, can't you also can sacrifice a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff? Must not have had one. Hung is our pal in Harrisburg. Hey, Hung, what do you have?
Good morning. I had this crazy one. It's the Argentina versus England. It's a football. It's a World Cup football. 86 Mexicano. It's a handball they didn't call. And you know what? Man, this is crazy. Everybody, this referee from Tunisia, Ali, I think what I was told that because the call that he didn't call is a handball, he was banned from traveling to England. I was told. That's crazy.
I believe it.
Controversial. Crazy. People in England is crazy about football. You put the light on it. Escobar from Colombia disappeared after he scored an own goal. World football is crazy.
Hung, you're right. We think we're crazy fans with football and college football, and we are, but it we can't even hold the water of international soccer. Hung, thank you so much for the good one.
I strongly considered a hand of God because the stakes were so. The World Cup and England and Argentina had just been at war over the Falklands. I just watched a David Beckham documentary. I know all about this.
Yeah.
Then there was another huge controversy where they called a foul on David Beckham. Soccer controversies almost are too intense.
When I was doing research for this and just going through certain ones, there's pages and pages of soccer controversies that I don't know who half the people are who are involved in these controversies.
I think it's a tough sport to officiate. I think they have replay now to some extent, but still. Yeah. There's no controversy like a soccer controversy.
Well, and also it's could be kind of ripe for corruption. I mean, there's a lot there.
Yeah, like we were saying, boxing, the Roy Jones Jr. You could do 50 on boxing alone.
To be honest, you could probably do 50 on college football, though. About who gets in, who didn't get in, who got to play for the title, who didn't get to play for the title. I mean, that is still very much a part of our lives. Big Dave's in Kentucky. Hey, Dave.
Hey guys, first of all, I want to apologize for the other morning. I got pretty fired up over the football.
Oh, no need, Dave. No, I love it.
Dave, what are you, crazy? Don't apologize. We need that out of you.
You yelled at me, but I understood where you were coming from.
More people should yell at Perloff.
Okay, well, good. Well, listen, I'm going to go against the grain.
Okay.
Should we hit the music?
I guess this morning with one that, to me, is the most obvious recent screw job. The Alabama Crimson Tide are getting screwed over because of this blasphemous propaganda campaign that's nothing short of character assassination, questioning their rightful place in the college football championship playoff.
Dave, surely you jest. What is this conspiracy that you are spouting?
Listen, here's the thing. McLovin, I've got a question for you. Very analytical. I want an honest answer, which I would hope I always get for you.
Yeah.
So you tell me which one carries the most weight. Losing a game in September to the eventual number 3 seed in the college football championship, or winning your last game against the consensus number 1 two-time defending national championship team that hadn't lost a game in 2 solid years.
Yeah, and under normal circumstances, I would say that the second one is more important. And actually, I will say it now. It is probably more important. So in a normal year, of course, Alabama gets in, but it was a bizarre year, Dave.
Wait, but Dave, you can't say Alabama's getting screwed. They're in.
No, it's not that. It's all the talk like that. This is all. It's being done for TV ratings. Maggie, I was so disappointed in something that I heard you say yesterday.
Oh no, that could be a lot of things, Dave.
Well, that's true. But that if Deion Sanders was the coach of Florida State, do you honestly think that they would be left out? Do you all really think that they're sitting behind closed doors debating TV ratings?
Yes.
Listen.
But Dave, I said this before Stephen A. Stephen A. took my take on this one because I had it first. Check the timeline on Twitter. I'm telling you, spot the lie. If Deion's there, Florida State's in, dude. I hate to say it.
I could not possibly disagree more. There's a term that we use in prison a lot, in the prison system, called the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
I feel for Florida State. I really do. I mean, it's an unusual circumstance. I understand that, but you cannot possibly logically debate with me that this was the wrong decision, because you know the word that comes to mind when I think of all this, and you can't leave an undefeated Power 5 conference champion out. It's nothing but ceremonial. That's all it is. It's ceremonial. We're thinking this has never happened before.
Well,
if you would have put if Florida State would have been put in and the SEC champion, Alabama Crimson Tide, who just defeated the consensus #1 two-time defending national championship team that hadn't lost a game in 2 years.
Yeah, but
that would have been the biggest travesty in the history of college sports.
Listen, I understand the SEC, even on a quote-unquote down year, Dave, you're the best, thank you, still should have their champion should be playing in the Final Four. But here's the thing, you guys got rabbit ears. Like, you're listening too much to the haters or to the, people with the detractors, not even haters, the detractors, right? Like, you're in. Stop worrying about everyone else who's throwing cold water on it. You're in. You're playing Michigan. Yeah. There's a lot on the line for this game. You can't be worried about the noise.
Well, history will wash over this controversy because Ohio State was controversial when they got in over Baylor and was it TCU or Kansas State, one of the other Big 12 schools. Nobody remembers that. Everyone just remembers Ohio State rolling. If Alabama wins this, no one's going to hold that against Alabama. I don't think they're going to say they shouldn't have been there. You know what I mean? In a month, it's not going to feel the same. I do think anyone's going to put an asterisk around Alabama winning this. I don't think it's like that at all.
No, because I think that, like Dave said, I think most reasonable people would say the SEC champion should be in, considering the weight that the SEC carries. But at the same time, and you feel bad for FSU or whatever, but I don't understand what Alabama people are worried about.
They're not worried. And the other thing, and about the should be in, I don't think that you're going to even have to make an argument one way or another because you're just going to forget that this ever happened. For example, Penn State got left out at undefeated 95. Nobody negates Nebraska's title. No one says, oh, well, they didn't beat Penn State. No one's going to care. They'll just remember the game.
Keep them coming, guys. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We are talking about the biggest robberies in sports, injustice, stuff like that. EJ, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys making the point that nobody will care if Alabama wins the national championship, they won't be an asterisk next to their name. To me, that then kind of negates this whole Florida State debate and discussion and outrage. And a lot of it felt performative, that this issue that Florida State, who nobody thinks can beat Michigan, nobody thinks can win a national championship, got left out, and everybody's saying it's this crazy, egregious, terrible situation. But then you say, okay, well, if Alabama wins the championship, how would you feel about it? Would it be fake? No, we all agree because we think that Alabama will kill Florida State.
I don't. Yeah, sorry.
You're not denigrating Alabama. You're not saying Alabama is not great. You're just saying Florida State. It's more about Florida State. It's not about Alabama. This is to me not saying that Alabama's not a great team. What they achieved was unbelievable. They just beat Georgia. I think that the focus is on Florida State being left out, not Alabama getting it.
But I think they're not mutually exclusive. I don't think you can take Alabama, the team that replaced Florida State in the top four, and say, well, if they get in, they win, that this is legitimate and this is fine. But also, Florida State not being in this means this is a travesty and this is a joke. It can't be both.
You know, Georgia's one of the top four teams in the world, in the country right now, right?
They lost to one of the top four teams, so I don't know that. No.
But yeah, well, you don't know that Alabama is better than Florida State. You don't know that Alabama could beat Florida State. How do you know? Of course, Georgia could beat Washington or Texas. They'd be favored by 4 points.
Right, but Georgia already has a loss against a top four team, a team that qualified. So them being out, I have no problem with. Texas lost to a top four team. Alabama lost to a top four team as well, but they beat the #1 team. So that's totally different. Florida State has not played any of these teams. Florida State is not, their schedule doesn't come anywhere close to a lot of these teams. So this idea that, again, we can crown Alabama and say, you know what, we're going to accept this as legitimate, but then we're going to also say, you know what, Florida State got robbed. You can't have both. Either you guys say this tournament is a wash, and the whole thing is a farce, especially if Florida State wins, Alabama wins, or you got to say, no, Florida State didn't deserve to be in. If Alabama wins, great.
No.
They're the champions.
I understand your logic, but that's just not how sports work.
Well, it's the undefeatedness of it. You could say strength of schedule. You can say who did they play, this win against this top team or whatever. I mean, they did beat LSU in the beginning of the season, but it's the fact that they didn't lose. And the other two teams who are in Power 5 who did not lose are in this tournament. The 4 teams.
But if you're looking for the best 4 teams.
Oh, I'm with you, EJ, on that. But like that's the argument. It's not who played who or what. It's like it's the fact that undefeated in the Power 5 has never gotten left out. And that's it.
It's just the best 4 teams argument's a little thin because Georgia's not there. They're clearly one of the best 4 teams.
There's hypocrisy.
But how? They lost to a team that's in the top 4. They lost to a team that's 4th.
I know, but by 3 points, where they're the 2-time national champions.
Yeah, you don't see where Georgia is better than Texas or Washington right now?
Why would I think that? Texas beat Alabama, who lost. Alabama just beat Georgia. And Texas beat Alabama by 10 points. Why do I assume that?
By the way, if Florida State played Alabama in week 3, they would have stomped them. I think. I mean, they would have beaten them by 25 points.
But we're not talking about week 3. We're talking about teams who are the best teams right now.
You just said that Alabama. You mentioned the Texas game. Just 2 seconds ago.
Right, no, but you're trying to make this case that, well, because Georgia, they're one of the top 4 teams, saying, well, okay, but Alabama beat a team that Georgia lost to. So it doesn't, or whatever the situation is. It doesn't hold water in that sense.
I guess so, but we've all been watching Georgia the last 2 years. Like, we realize what this is. This was not a fluke Georgia team. This was not a bad Georgia team by any stretch. So even though they did lose by 3 points to Alabama, does that really mean they're not a top 4 team in the country? I think most people would believe they are a top 4 team. However, the way this is working out, there's just no room for them in the top 4.
I don't know what the case is for them over these 4 teams. When we say we're trying to make the best 4 teams, there clearly is a case for Alabama over Florida State. Florida State did not have the starting quarterback. Their last 2 games, they did not look like a top 4 team. Alabama just beat the number 1 team. That's simple.
And Alabama looked like a number 1 team 2 weeks ago?
Against Auburn?
Come on.
Not really.
Well, no, but it's
Washington?
Why are we talking about games where they barely beat against Auburn or whatever, but the game against Georgia we're minimizing? I don't understand that.
Well, how can you do Washington look terrible against Washington State? Just terrible, and they're in there.
Wait, here's the question.
Right, but then they just beat Oregon, though.
But here's a question. If Georgia and Alabama played 10 times, what do you think happens? Do you think it's Alabama 10-0?
I think Alabama beats them a lot. Yeah, I don't know if it's 10-0. I mean, that's unlikely. Yeah. But I think they beat them more times than not. Georgia didn't look like the better team on the football field on Saturday. Not even close. They were down by double digits in that 4th quarter.
Do I get a healthy Georgia?
Oh, yeah, Brock Bowers and
Again,
Lad McConkey.
We're talking about the teams right now. Yeah. That's the point of this.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys. You got some good ones here and a couple more that we have that you have not thought of yet. The all-time sports robberies. We're doing that off of Florida State not making the top 4 college football playoff. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. It's a great debate Wednesday. A lot of fun. We're debating the biggest injustice, screw job, whatever you want to call it in sports history.
Robbery.
Some of them officiating them. Some of them teams leaving cities. There are so many. And it's funny. A lot of these are old and they bring emotional wounds up to the surface so quickly.
You never forget if your team gets jobbed.
Yeah, it never goes away. And the intensity, you just need a little spark and it's back full on.
And Florida State not making it into the top 4 is kind of what this is inspired by, if you will. Let's go to Chad in Pennsylvania. Hey, Chad, what do you have?
How you doing? I think it was like 2000, 2001, and I'm a Browns fan, so we have nothing ever to root for. And they were playing the Jaguars, and the game was all over. And then all of a sudden, after 4th down, an extra flag comes out of nowhere, and they give the Jaguars another play. And then the Jaguars get a 1st down. They move on. They win the game, and then the beer bottles came flowing out of the stands for Cleveland. And all we wanted was a win that year. I think we had 1 or 2 wins. We were like on our 30th quarterback at the time.
This is some
Listen,
yeah.
The only thing is, in the history of Browns, when you have your stadium's called the Factory of Sadness, and you have the drive and the fumble, I don't know if that one raises to the level of all time.
When you're on your 27th quarterback in the 3rd year back in the NFL, you just want to win.
Chad, it's near and dear to your heart, which means I think it should definitely count. It definitely does count. And I could have picked the Browns. I picked Seattle, the Supersonics, kind of leaving Seattle. I could have picked the Browns, but the Browns did get a team back.
Yeah.
Same team, same elf, same Brownie the elf, same everything.
Well, the worst one was the Irsay's moving the Colts because they did it. They sneaked out in the middle of the night. I think that was the one where they. I can't
Art
remember.
Modell.
Oh, was it Modell?
Yeah,
Whoever snuck out, whoever had the trucks.
Art Modell.
That was Modell. Okay.
I believe, yeah.
But I feel like the Irsay and the Colts was not good.
Was it?
No,
it
it wasn't the Colts.
It was the Colts.
Robert Irsay.
Yeah,
It was
Mayflower
his
moving
father.
trucks, right?
Pardon me. Yeah, Modell was different. Yeah, that's bad.
You know what's funny, though, about the Browns?
But they all have franchises still with the same name. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, no, I'm saying this Browns play, I didn't know anything about the play, but I will never forget them throwing those beers onto the field. Like, is it bad that, like, we don't remember the play, but the infamous fan behavior is what we remember more?
I have no idea what led to the Philly fans throwing batteries at Santa Claus or whatever.
He just threw snowballs.
I don't know
It's
what preceded that. I just assume it was like a regular Thursday.
First of all, the Eagles still throw. I saw a video the other day. They were throwing. Was that an Eagles?
Was that a new video? Yeah, it looked
It must have been old because there was no snow.
It was a Patriots fans that looked like that. That
Oh,
were,
is that Patriots fans? But did you? There was a guy in an Eagles jersey, so I assumed it was Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, there was a video out there of a guy just getting pelted with snowballs at the link, and I'm like, yo, it wasn't snowing this weekend, so I assumed it had to have been a previous year. But the fact that, again, this is just like old video they can just throw out there. So here's our best of that you don't even know, best of the rest.
That'd be a good Philadelphia Christmas present, a automatic snowball generator for Eagles games. If Mother Nature won't provide, you have a cooler with snowballs.
A couple that have not been mentioned yet that we should receive maybe some honorable mention. We had some great ones here. We did not bring up, although it seems like Pete may have been a bit of an expert on this one. There was a very famous Olympic moment where Canadian pairs skaters got jobbed out of a gold medal. And the reason why it's interesting is because the Russians end up winning it. It totally egregious. The Canadians skated the better program, and an investigation found out that the French judge and the Russian judge had made a pact that they would both give each other's countries good scores. So it actually got rectified, and that pair's the figure skating pair did end up getting a gold medal. It was co-gold medals.
Yeah, and now you could say Russian judges. Like people
Everyone
just use that as a shorthand.
Yeah.
It's a corrupt judge.
Jeffrey Mayer and the Baltimore Orioles getting jobbed against the New York Yankees, 96, right? Was that one? I thought this was a big one, but you thought no, Perloff, when we were talking about this before the show. David Stern vetoing the Chris Paul trade to the Lakers. The Lakers end up going on to win again with Kobe and Pau Gasol, but that was an all-time screw job.
I don't know. Wait, I thought the Paul deal was after they won the title.
Yeah, they didn't win. They didn't win, I believe, after that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had my timeline messed up.
I'm not so sure that Chris Paul guarantees, because Chris Paul never won a title. I'm not so sure that he guaranteed the Lakers a title. There would have been a great chance. But for some reason, that didn't bother me as much.
It was just such a weird thing because there was the ownership of the New Orleans Hornets at the time was in flux. So the NBA was managing a team and all of the moves they were making, and David Stern put the kibosh on it, where really never really got a clean answer to this.
Well, at least we got Lob City out of that, right? Because he ended up going to the Clippers. Yeah,
right. What did Lob City give us?
It's a screw job, but that's not as bad as a officiating error, in my opinion.
I think this was a big robbery for NBA fans because I think if there's anything we think about that Miami Heat era, what did we miss? I think we missed a great rivalry. I know they had the Spurs, but for some reason there just didn't seem to be that kind of animosity or that kind of star power to match LeBron and the Heatles. If you add Chris Paul to that Lakers situation, now you got Chris Paul, you got Kobe, you got Pau Gasol, and if you have those Clash of the Titans meeting in the NBA Finals, those finals I think become more remembered than they are right now in terms of the Heat
you got the
versus
Ray
the
Allen
Lakers.
shot. I mean, it got pretty memorable. I know the Spurs never really just had the sizzle, right? It's obviously not the glamour of the Lakers, but I mean, you could also say, remember when the Spurs turned off the air conditioning in the arena for Game 1 of the finals, and LeBron got cramps and
it was that
job.
But again, like these are things that I think we think more about how it affected the Heat. So the Heat made a shot, or LeBron got cramps in the game one. We don't really think much about like the Spurs in this. And you had a star like Chris Paul, and I think we underestimate how great he was. I mean, this is him in the prime of his career. I mean, he goes to L.A. and he probably has the best years of his career there. If you add that, maybe you extend Kobe's prime. Maybe that Lakers team has a whole different outlook.
Yeah.
Feels a bit speculative to me.
Also,
I mean, you never really know what was going to happen.
That's true. I do think that it's the Ray Allen shot, but it was also Tim Duncan not on the floor. You know, there's two sides of that. You know, why was one of the great rebounders of all time not on the floor for that play?
I mean, if you're doing Spurs controversy, I think that Suns-Spurs fight was way
Amari
bigger.
Stoudemire getting suspended. Yeah,
that was huge. And obviously, you have, forget all that, the Sacramento Kings and Lakers and Tim Donaghy. I mean, that is a screw job. To me, that is way more significant than Chris Paul.
Well, if we're doing playoff screw jobs, I got to mention the Knicks. How about Charlie Ward getting flipped over by P.J. Brown, and that leading to basically the entire team being suspended for the last two games?
Both sides were kind of guilty in all that stuff. I mean,
what if Charlie Ward do other than box out? Nothing. He got flipped over by a 6'10" guy, and then Patrick Ewing and all these guys get suspended because P.J. Brown can't take that his team's about to get bounced in the second round of the playoffs. That was terrible.
Can't leave the bench. 855-212-4CBS as we learn. Manny is here. He's got an update for us. Good morning, Manny.
Wait, but by the way, can I tell you my finest almost moment in the media? I was, for some reason, it was my first job, and I was at that. I was like so young, I had no idea. For some reason, I got a stringer job to go to that game where Ewing wasn't sitting. And I said to the guy, I'm like, what if I asked the coach, hey, how come you didn't play Patrick Ewing today? After he got suspended, it was a number one story. I didn't say it, but if I had said that, that would have been the all-time
I'm pretty sure that game 6 was in New York. I don't think he would have made it out of the city.
Hey, why did you play Patrick Ewing tonight?
0 minutes.
Yeah, what the heck?
Why wasn't he in uniform?
Was he just not not a good matchup?
Yeah, the way Jeff Van Gundy was grabbing Alonzo Mourning's leg a couple years ago, that would have been your neck. You asked him that at the postgame.
Manny, what are the headlines this morning?
Well, guys, it looks as though there's a new podcast to keep in tabs with. That would be 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, hosted by the Kid Mero and Carmelo Anthony. Anthony last played in 2022 as a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. He would then go a year without playing in the league before announcing his retirement back in May. However, in his podcast, Carmelo says that the phone rang.
Was people calling you, and who was calling you to be like, yo, Melo, come on, man, lace him up for us one time, baby?
China.
The Shanghai Sharks was banging your line?
Pelicans call.
Melo the Pelican is a crazy.
That would have been that jersey.
Nasty.
Hide that.
Nasty.
Hide that.
That doesn't seem to be a great look for David Griffin and the New Orleans Pelicans.
Why is Melo turning his nose up at anybody or anything?
And the Pelicans are a talented team. You could potentially win a ring there.
Wait, why are we talking about Carmelo Anthony?
He's
over. I mean, Melo's fine, awesome, but whatever.
Well, the Pelicans took this extremely personally, if you saw on their social media.
Oh, they did? I didn't. Why? Okay.
They said they wanted to. They had congratulated Carmelo on his retirement, and they re-quoted that tweet and said, "Yeah, we're going to delete this now." Not happy with it.
That's funny.
Carmelo Anthony, 28,289 points, 9th most in NBA history. Career that spanned from 2003 to 2023. He averaged 22.5 points a game, spent time in Denver, New York, Oklahoma City, Houston, Portland, and the Lakers, but not New Orleans.
Manny, what is this, a book report on Carmelo Anthony?
Guys, may I introduce you to Tyler Shuck?
Shuck? Are you sure you have it right?
That's what I saw a pronunciation guide. That's
Shuck or Shuff?
Shuck.
Okay. Please introduce him.
Sure, yeah. He's a quarterback in the transfer portal, and he has just announced his intentions to leave Texas Tech for Louisville. Shuck will be a 7th-year senior.
Oh, boy.
Who turns 25 next September. He will be in his 3rd program. He began his career at Oregon in 2018. He played 3 games, redshirted 2019. He threw for 15 passes. That's all the stats I got for you there. In 2020, he went 4-3. Threw for 13 touchdowns at Oregon, and he then transferred to Texas Tech. 2021, he broke his collarbone early in the season. Last year, he re-injured that same shoulder, missing 6 games. And in late September of this year, Shuck broke his fibula, ending his season.
Jeez, this guy.
I think
he's coming back for more of this?
He's coming back for more,
We
baby.
need to put this guy out of his misery.
I think I had him in my look-ahead draft maybe in 2020. There was talk about him. He was a tall kid. He was a huge recruit.
Yeah, I did see.
Sounds like a big
he had some great
target.
years. I always thought it was Shuff, though, but you're probably right. It's Shuck. It's SHOUGH. Anyway,
yes,
we'll get to know him. He's got 2 or 3 more schools in him.
Yeah, he does list at 6'5", 229 pounds.
Dude's going to be Frankenstein by the time he gets out of college.
Well, did you see
They all
JT
take
Daniels just
together.
retired for health reasons because that dude had been playing for 7 years. He's like, my body can't do this anymore. You're not even in the NFL.
Yeah.
Remember JT Daniels, former number 1 overall? He's like, I can't do this anymore. He has another year of eligibility. I'm serious. I'm not joking. Because of the COVID year, everyone got another year. It's nuts.
This is terrible for college football to me. Like
These
having these
long
guys in
careers.
these 7-8 year runs. I mean, like, why do we want to see these guys playing when they're 25, 26 years old? Now, look, if I was them, I would go out there and play. Like, to me, like,
They're getting paid.
Yeah, you're
now.
getting paid,
Great
and
point.
like
Yeah.
you're going on to kind of go onto your career to do maybe something non-athletic. If I can go and be the quarterback of Miami for a year, why not? But for college football, it just seems like it just takes away kind of the fun out of seeing what we think are student athlete kids that are playing, not guys who should be in the pros.
Yeah, I mean, we joked right about Stetson Bennett was going to be owning a car dealership while he's winning the second title. But so here's the thing about it. I wonder how this impacts them getting drafted in the NFL. Because, you're going to have guys who play a long time. They're going to get hurt, all that, and more injuries potentially. But are you going to be like a seasoned vet? Like, is an NFL team going to love the fact that you played in 4 different offenses and you have a mastery of all of this? Or is it like the NBA where you want guys, once they turn 19, they're too old?
Well, I think people are going to hold it against Nix and Penix that they're so old. But the reality is Brock Purdy might have changed the game because he got 4 years in at Iowa State.
I mean, Hendon Hooker got drafted for 3rd round, right, with the Lions? He's not playing, but...
Hendon Hooker would have been top 20 if he was healthy. So, but no, Hendon Hooker was old. The only reason he fell, I think the old is fine, but I do think there is this thought, like the NBA, like if he was going to be a guy, why did it take him so long?
Well, but then there's the flip side where, remember how long we kept saying, like, Sam Darnold is still, like, he's still 23, even though he's been in the league for 4 years. Like, the young part of this
Trey Lance is super young.
Not great for the NFL. I might want an older guy.
Yeah, but then look at CJ Stroud. He's super young, and maybe there's no rhyme or reason here. I understand this. What EJ said about people getting mad at the older players, that is happening. I'm seeing a lot of former players saying, why are there 26-year-olds playing college football?
Yeah, 24-year-old college athlete Tyler Shuck. A little bit more college football. ESPN says Texas A&M is hiring Kansas State offensive coordinator Colin Klein for the same role under new head coach Mike Elko. Klein, a former quarterback for Kansas State who finished 3rd in Heisman Trophy voting in 2012, had emerged as one of the nation's top young play callers. 34-year-old has spent almost his entire career at his alma mater, serving as quarterback coach and becoming the team's sole play caller before the 2022 season.
Wow, he's way more famous than Mike Elko. Like, Colin Klein, we all saw him. Mike Elko, he could walk in right now. I wouldn't know who he was.
Makes me feel old. I finally remember, hey, this guy used to play like 5 years ago.
This is someone Manny actually remembers. Manny, thank you so much for the headlines all morning long. Nice job. We've got more Maggie and Perloff, including more of your all-time robberies in sports, the all-time injustices off of Florida State not being named a top 4 in the top 4 college football playoff teams. We want to know your other big sports screw jobs. Let us know. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Where in the world is Shohei OHTANI going to sign?
Glad you asked. Well, we don't know yet, but we do know it's down to, reportedly, 4 teams. Dodgers, Cubs, Blue Jays, and Angels. Now, it's kind of crazy to even know this, considering the big thing about OHTANI's free agency was that if you talk about OHTANI's free agency as one of the teams, you're immediately out. That leads me to believe there has to be other teams who might be in the bidding here, but we just haven't heard about them, right?
Yeah, there was also, I did see a controversy. USA Today's Bob Nightingale reported the Cubs were out, and the Cubs president chewed out Nightingale publicly, saying that's not true. So this is just a weird vibe, this whole thing. But I was promised really cool sound for the Where in the World is Shohei OHTANI signing. That was okay. I actually liked yesterday when Pete played the CBS Newsbreaker for Shohei OHTANI.
Pete played the very serious, actual CBS Newsbreaker. We're like, oh boy.
Yeah. Wait, how do you not love this? Did you not love Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? This is the inspiration for that.
Oh, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? It's the inspiration. Yeah. Okay. All right. Lost on me. Sorry.
Oh, my gosh.
So
Try to do some cool things here. And
This
lost on
is a
Perloff.
CBS News special report.
You should have seen it yesterday, EJ, talking about a story that did not match the sound. That was what was brilliant about that.
We're like, oh my gosh, JFK's dead today. We did not know. All of a sudden, you played the very serious news. We felt like we had to just improvise. Stunning news.
But the irony is the SHOHEI thing is by design. There's no news because he won't let there be any news, which is really annoying, by the way.
Well, he says that there's also this report that he wants to sign quickly.
Yeah,
then the rest of the market can get going.
He wants to beat the market out there. Yeah, we could use, when are the winter meetings over? It's got to be today or tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. So we going to get a signing or what?
I don't know. Are we getting more country singers like Brad Paisley arriving at the winter meeting?
This winter meetings has been boring. I expected some kind of big deal.
When OHTANI signs for $600 million, might jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Or we need Juan Soto or something.
If he goes to the Angels, all-time womp, womp,
It's
womp.
the opposite of jazz it up.
Yeah.
I think Pete's around the money, though. I agree with him.
You think it's the Angels? You guys are starting to convince me. I still think it's the Dodgers.
Well, then, if he wants to go to the Angels, then I'm sorry. I do not believe that you actually want to win because you've been there. And you already saw how they do business, and you've got you and Mike Trout, and the team can't sniff the playoffs, even when they go all in at the deadline last year. So if he says he wants to win and he ends up going back to the Angels, then he's full of crap.
He's not LeBron. He doesn't need a dream team around him to win. He can win on his own. Like, that's not the attitude.
He can't.
The attitude isn't I have to go to the Braves or the Dodgers because they have the best lineups. That's not how stars think. He thinks I can be the one to fix the Angels.
Okay, but the reason why he didn't sign any extensions with the Angels before is because he said he wanted to win.
Okay, fair.
He didn't even have to go to free agency if he just wanted to re-sign with the Angels. I'm sure they would have given him gobs of money.
That argument that it doesn't give you a chance to win feels kind of thin because if you're a great enough player, you should be, in theory, you should be able to elevate them. We understand the Angels are cursed.
Yeah, well, they've had Mike Trout and they've played 3 playoff games.
Amazing.
I mean, it's stupid.
But, at the end of the day, though, Shohei would not be the first baseball player or athlete to say, I want to win, but then when it comes to free agency, just take the most money.
Of course.
And you use the other markets to drive up that price.
That's why I'm wondering, why aren't the Texas Rangers in? They always have a say in these kind of huge signings.
Well, Max Scherzer kind of made the push, and he said, if you don't care about money, come to the Rangers. So I guess maybe he knows that they don't got the kind of bread that they're paying him, apparently.
Well, I believe something's going on with their TV deal. I think that's why it's holding up their money.
Well, the last few years has been the Padres and Dodgers on everybody, and the Padres are basically bankrupt now because turned out that they didn't have the cash to be paying all these guys, right? So I think you can make that offer, but Toronto is the most mysterious one to me because when has Toronto ever signed the big free agent? Has that ever happened?
Well, I mean, they have some big free agents, but not to this caliber. But to be fair, this caliber hasn't ever happened before. I mean, we're in uncharted waters here.
Is this there's been big ones. Bryce Harper was big.
Yeah, but this is going to double that in money.
Well, yeah, but that's just a matter of evolution. I'm just saying there have been other big free agencies. I can't think of any. Maybe, is this the biggest free agency ever? I mean, forget the more money because money's gone up and up and up. Like back in the 80s, did somebody sign? I have no idea.
By the way, I will say for the Blue Jays of late, I mean, they did sign George Springer. They did sign Russell Martin. That didn't go very well. I feel like the last 4 or 5 years, you've seen them spend a lot of money. Now, are they ready to spend $700 million on one player? I don't know. But they've definitely entered that phrase being one of the teams that will spend.
Well, they did a good job drafting, and they have some good young pieces. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Love us some Casamigos around here. Today, a little snapshot of the show. Perloff broke some news on today's show.
You know how you love breaking news to somebody?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
You know, this is
you
one
got
that,
news?
This is delicious.
Wait, what?
And I'm so glad that I get to tell you live this little tidbit. Can you guys guess who the Time Person of the Year is? And you might have heard
Deion
already.
Sanders.
No, he was the Sportsman of the Year for Sports Illustrated.
Oh.
The Time Person of the Year, it's Tay-Tay. Taylor Swift is the Time Person of the Year. Talking about great controversies.
Man.
That's a good one, right?
Why, was Jason Kelsey not available? He turned it down?
Taylor Swift.
Was Brittany Mahomes tied up getting her nails done? That sounded worse than I meant.
Brittany Mahomes catching strays, which is just another Wednesday for her, unfortunately.
Yeah. Didn't mean it, Brittany. Taylor Swift is a Time The whole world, we're talking about Taylor Swift.
Well, I mean, in 1968, you would have put the Beatles, and this is the closest thing we've seen in music for a while. That tour was insane. We haven't had a tour like that ever.
And it's still happening, by the way. Now it's gone worldwide. So
I know we've had big tours.
Nothing that broke the system like Taylor Swift.
Let's get to our pal Nebby is in Pennsylvania. Hey, Nebby, how are you, dude?
I'm doing okay. Just real quick, my little hat tip to EJ. Biggest screw job is the Montreal screw job.
Yep. It's a big one.
And can we please stop talking about Georgia as if their two-time defending championships matters? That team doesn't exist. They lost so many people off of those two teams. It's not the same team. Georgia's best win all year was against Missouri. We don't know that the only thing that Georgia benefited from was a high ranking at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
we have
Nebby,
no idea how good Georgia actually is.
I know, but Nebby, I think the point was if you actually are trying to get the 4 best teams, and thank you for the phone call, good to hear from you. They lost to Alabama by 3 points. They didn't get blown out. They didn't even come close to losing a game all season long. Even if their schedule wasn't good, they were never even threatened.
I do know what Nebby's saying. This clearly wasn't Georgia 2 years ago, though.
That could be true. Thank you to DJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Pilati. Andrew Bogish came in here. Manny Rodriguez was in here. Andrew Kaplan is always incredible. Thank you to the Weedos, the coffee drinkers, the callers. See you tomorrow.